I'll help you out.
Wednesday from 10 to noon.
I was gonna
I
call
got
out
your
sick
note, by
that
the
day,
way.
but now I feel
I
like
kinda didn't respond to today, so.
What, this week?
You're all
Tomorrow?
set.
Next week.
It's time, Judge.
We'll be just getting back on the
9 a.m.
All right, we'll call this regular scheduled session of the court into order on this 9th day of November, 2021. And would like to start with an invocation by Magistrate Jamey Gay.
Thank you, Judge. Let us pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you with thanks in this season of Thanksgiving. And Father, we are especially mindful this week as we prepare to celebrate Veterans Day of all those veterans that have served this country, both known and unknown to us. Father, we're especially thankful for those members of this court that have served their country, Judge Hunt, Magistrate Sammons, and Magistrate Kaywood. Thank you for their service and your protection and watching over of them in that service. Father, we're also grateful for those that stand watch, both men and women around the world, serving our great country in this day. Bless this court as it makes the decisions of our citizens of this county. It's in your Son, Jesus' name, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that. If you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you for that opening prayer, Magistrate Gay, and recognition of all those that have served and still serving. We need to look at our minutes and approve the minutes from prior meetings. We have the regular schedule, and is there a special call meeting? You can see those in your packets.
Make a motion to approve them all.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve the minutes by Magistrate Salmon, seconded by Magistrate Gay.
One adjustment, please, sir.
Excuse me?
One adjustment on the minutes.
Okay, go right ahead. That's what I was getting ready to ask.
Let me get.
He's trying to beat Tom.
He's trying to beat Tom.
Trying to be Tom. Okay, on the minutes, the back page of the 26th, where we gave our individual comments.
Okay,
Magistrate Kaywood also announced that the Bluegrass chapter will be reestablished. That is, the way that should read, Missy, is that Senator McConnell announced in an interview that the Bluegrass chapter of the Honor Flight for veterans will be reestablished.
the honor flight.
That's what's missing really in there is the Honor Flight,
Okay. I'll put it in there.
what that Bluegrass chapter is.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
one we're talking
It could be a
about.
lot of
It
bluegrass
could be a lot of
chapters,
Bluegrass chapters, so, please.
But, no, good catch, and I appreciate that. Are there any other corrections or comments? And,
I brought a couple to Missy's attention before the meeting. I think
okay,
she's made
so
those
she
corrections.
has those, and so we will, the vote will be to include those changes and notations that have been presented. So, any further? All those in favor of approving the minutes for, as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Thank you for that. All right, next we have, let me get back here, we got a 2-page agenda today. Approve, some bills, and I've got 2 treasurers here. And, okay, Jackie's gonna do it, all right.
Okay, standing orders, we have $356,240.61. And the regular bills to be paid is $1,377,265.17.
Nobody can hear you. You need a mic.
But
You want me to go up front?
Hold on, isn't there?
Okay,
Just
here's-
not
Pass the mic to her.
Missing a mic?
yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Pass that one down. State again, please, for the record, Jackie.
Okay. Standing orders is $356,240.61. And the regular bills to be paid is $1,377,265.17.
Move we pay the bills as presented.
Second.
All right, the motion to approve the bills as presented by Magistrate Gay and seconded by Magistrate Short. Is there any questions, comments, or discussions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. All right, budget transfers.
There are no budget transfers, and we have one cash transfer for $100,000 to EMS operations.
Make that motion.
All right. We have a motion to make the one cash transfer made by Magistrate Cohen and seconded by Magistrate Sammons. Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right, we're at the consent calendar, and I'll start out with, we want to start off with Sherrill Morgan. Good. Okay, yeah, let's do that, because that's just a, I would like to offer for appointment to the Boyle County Public Library Board of Trustees, Miss Rachel Beckman, whose name was submitted to me by the library, and so, that's who I'd like to put forward as a nominee to be on that board.
I'll make that motion, we appoint her.
Okay, that motion
Second.
made by Magistrate Sammons and seconded by Magistrate Short. Any comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Now, we would like to hear from our great representative from Sherrill Morgan and on the stop loss presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Hunt. Good
Lisa-
morning.
This is Lisa and Rob.
Yeah, morning, everybody. Nice to see you. We are here this morning with your stop loss and your administrative renewal, and with a couple of other recommendations. And just to kind of give you a sense of how your health plan is run this year, you've had a very good year with respect to your health plan cost. Your plan has performed well through the first 3 quarters of the year. And we are projecting that your total costs will be slightly less than 1% higher than they were in 2020. Even though you've had some higher inpatient expenses this year, largely related to a high claimant, your pharmacy costs are down almost 40%. So yeah, that has really helped to keep your overall costs at a minimum. And your trend over the last 3 years has been about 2.7%. Which is really very good when you consider that national trend for health plans is between 7 and 10%. So you've done well. And on an administrative renewal basis, we are recommending that you renew with ARC and with the Anthem Network. ARC's fees will be going up $1.93 per employee per month, so that translates to about $2,500 for the whole year. So it's a very minimal increase. And your pharmacy administration will not be going up. MedBen and Ventegra are holding their fees for 2022. On the stop loss front, we are recommending that you renew with your current carrier Companion. They initially came in with about a 5% increase on premium and a slight reduction to your attachment point. That's your maximum claims guarantee. But Sherrill Morgan and ARC went to a number of different stop loss carriers, approximately 9. And we received a competitive quote from a company called HM Life that we were able to use to leverage the Companion quote. And Companion then reduced their premium to less than a 1% increase, so almost a flat renewal, keeping all of your contract terms the same. They retained your current level of laser liability, so there is one particular individual on the plan who has a higher specific deductible, and that laser, that's what we call it in the industry, has been on the plan for several years now. So they're retaining that laser liability. And there's one contingency on a second claimant that we're not especially concerned with because we expect this claimant to terminate coverage at the end of the year. If for some reason they would stay on the plan, either as an active employee or through COBRA, then Companion would reserve the right to increase premiums or perhaps put a higher specific deductible or a laser on that individual if several things happened. One would be if they stopped taking the generic form of the medication they're using and went to the name brand version of that medication, or if the cost of the generic drug increased by more than 20%. So we're not very concerned with that contingency. We're very comfortable recommending that you renew with Companion. And
So that change could come in the year.
it could come in the year. Yeah, but we should know pretty quickly if that individual is going to be on the plan or not, because once they terminate, they'll be able to elect COBRA, and they'll have 60 days in which to do
And
that.
that's 12/31 of this year. they
Right.
terminate.
Yeah. So that's our recommendation on the stop loss. Any other questions about that?
How do we stand with the very low increase versus industry and versus Kentucky?
Yeah. So on stop loss, or in terms of your overall increase? Yeah.
That was impressive.
Yeah, it is very impressive. And generally speaking, we've seen plans inflate this year in 2021 compared to 2020. 2020 was sort of a depressed year for utilization because a lot of people weren't having elective procedures during the pandemic. And so most of our plans have seen a more normal increase of, between 7 and 10%, which is what we generally see across the country. So the fact that your plan has been flat is pretty remarkable.
So it'd be cautious optimism.
Cautiously optimistic. And in our budget projection, which I'll go ahead and talk about now, we're not recommending that you increase your funding levels for 2022. So your employee premiums and your employer premiums could stay the same. Our projection for next year is that your costs will increase some, but the level at which you're currently funding your plan would be enough to compensate for that increase if it happens. And we've even built in, a little extra in case you have more high claimant activity next year than you had this year.
Thank you.
So we think you're in very good shape. And in fact, just to continue about the overall picture, you should end the year with a surplus of over $100,000. We're estimating, based on third quarter claims and costs, that you should end with about $123,000 in reserve just from this year, which can add to the reserves that you already have on hand.
How does that compare with previous years? What do we usually carry over, basically, is what I'm saying. I have no idea.
You know what? I don't have that information with me, but I can get that for you.
It's not a big thing, it's just, I just wondered if that's pretty much in line with what we usually do.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what your overall reserve position is right now. I don't know if anybody has that information. But I think last year we made some recommendations regarding reserve, and in terms of where you were at that time, you looked pretty good. But we can get that for you.
Well, nobody likes surprises, so.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have reserves on hand, and
We all know of
yeah.
an automobile accident that happened to one of our folks, and I'm sure that had some expense to it, so.
Yes.
Even though it wasn't their fault, I don't believe, but it still happens.
Right. And one of the nice things about being a public sector self-funded plan is that you're able to keep reserves on hand. So if you were in the private sector, you could keep a certain amount of reserves, but the IRS doesn't like private sector companies to kind of, hide money in the form of health plan reserves. But public sector clients are able to have as much on hand in reserves as they
Red
like.
flagging, Magistrate Kaywood, you mentioned a car accident with one of our folks. That would be subrogation back against the insurers, and we won't suffer any loss on that.
But you just never know when those kinds of things.
Yeah, they can take a
gonna
long
happen.
time to
Yeah.
go
To
through
work
all
out,
the
go
hoops.
through all the hoops.
Yeah, and even that is very true, that if there's another payer involved, that subrogation takes place. But generally speaking, plans don't recover all of what they paid out.
Who pursues that for us?
There's a company that is hired by ARC, your TPA, who does the
Tell them to
subrogation.
pursue it with
Yeah.
vigor, because that's my background.
Yeah, they will, and if generally you're not going to get 100% recovery because in order to do that you'd have to litigate, and the cost of litigating usually outweigh the cost of just settling.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we need a vote to approve the renewal on
So
the stop
moved.
loss. process
Yes, sir.
that she has presented to us, that Lisa has presented. By the way, before you do that, I have talked with both Robin and Lisa and Mark Morgan and asked them to give us some options on our plan offering to our employees so we can help find a niche that will help save our employee cost on family programs. Okay, so we're working on doing something like that.
Right, because that's one of the areas, I appreciate you doing that, Judge, because I think that's one of the areas where we need to look at getting more competitive
Yeah.
in that area with our other public entities that we're competing against for our employees.
Yes, I agree, and I don't know that we can get to the point that some of them are doing where they pay 100% of their premiums.
Right.
We can sure help reduce that burden on families going forward, which that's our goal to try and do. So, does anybody have any questions on stop loss? Get a vote, a motion to approve the renewal.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Magistrate Ellison, seconded by Magistrate Gay. Now we can ask some questions or any discussions.
When's their regular renewal come up, the entire plan?
Oh, it's January 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah. January 1st.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? All those in favor of the stop loss renewal as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Y'all. They
Thank you.
traveled down from northern Kentucky and we're here early this morning, so I'm gonna let them get on their way.
Did we feed you breakfast?
Oh. No. Too early for lunch.
Hey, I stopped at Hardee's, I could've brought you something.
Thank you
Good to
all.
see y'all.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Thank you. Going with us.
If it's okay, before, we read the next proclamation, how do you wanna handle the, surprise, presentation? Do you wanna do it now, or?
I'd like to do it now, so he won't have to wait out there. He won't.
Okay, all right.
That'd
We
be all
need
right.
somebody to take some pictures, and I think Julie's gonna do that, so.
I think he'd like for his wife to be here.
I know.
It's all right. He can come back with that and get a picture of you and her.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Dog man. Where is the dog man?
There it is.
Yeah.
Come on in
You
here.
got a new
What?
title now, dog man.
Oh, man, listen at him.
Julie-
Good
Julie's
Lord.
still out there?
I've been called a lot of things.
Is Julie still out there?
There she comes.
There she goes.
Here's Julie right here.
All right, Julie. Well, tell us about last night at City Hall, and then give us some updates on the Paul Chandler.
Well, as you know, the commission had to vote on whether they were going to uphold their first vote on the ordinance preventing dogs from being into Bellevue and at Danville National Cemetery, which most people know that National Cemetery has a rule against it, and it's a statute. However, I talked with Mike at Camp Nelson, and and they knew it already, we really couldn't, National could not tell them how to run the rest of Bellevue. So that really didn't enter into it, I don't think. It was mentioned a couple times about being a National Cemetery, and naturally I mentioned it, but they had gotten enough phone calls, the commissioners, that they could see the public opinion was with the veterans, which was my main point, that not only do we have a national cemetery in there, but we've got probably 300 to 500 other veterans buried in there, plus a lot of other folks, not only vets, but personal people like myself, my grandparents are there. We don't want dogs on the graves and doing that sort of stuff. So thank goodness, after probably a 20-minute discussion, I felt like, from what I could hear, we were going to prevail. And Stephen Dexter did a good job of telling them exactly where they were. All they had to do was vote on it. The rules and regulations would then go into the new ordinance, which that was the conflict. The original, or the last ordinance voted on said one thing. The rules said another thing. So they had to get those to coincide. So finally they did that. and included it all together. So as soon as this I guess has to be in the paper and advertised, there will no longer be dogs in the cemetery, period, on leash or not. So, and just for your information, yesterday, of course, preparing for the meeting, I went up to the cemetery around 11 o'clock because we've done honor guards in there and had dogs run through the funeral, right in the middle of it. We've had joggers just jog through with the funeral in procession. So I went up there at 11 o'clock yesterday morning. There were 8 dogs running loose. Four of them were back in the National Cemetery. I went back by on my way up to City Hall at 5:15. There was 2 in there. So it was and has been a normal thing. So, you know, I'm not against dogs per se, but we've got walking trails, we've got the park, the dog park, we've got everything in the world in Boyle County. Nobody needs to go in the cemetery with dogs. So, and dogs do what dogs do, and that to me was disrespect for all the graves in there, not only the vets. But so anyway, long story short, they passed it 4-1, basically 4-1, since because the mayor was definitely for it, but he didn't have to actually voice vote because it was already 3-1. So he didn't have to vote, but it was technically 4-1. So it's
effective when? Immediately?
Yeah, as soon as they get, I think they have to advertise it or something, that the second reading of the ordinance, if, Chris, you might say that, what it is or not, but I think they go through the second reading, then I think it has to be advertised, and then it's effective immediately.
You had to put signs up. You had to put signs up.
They already have them.
There's been
Already
signs
there.
up for years, they
Oh,
just
okay.
wasn't enforced. And the other good thing that they did is they included the code enforcement as being the people, because technically it's a civil violation being an ordinance, it's not criminal. So they included code enforcement will be the people that enforce it and actually write the citations and so forth. The last I heard, it was going to be first offense was $100, second offense $200, they're on up. So I think once or twice ought to wake folks up. But code enforcement being able to do it, and then it doesn't have to go through district court, and it's handled like the parking citations. The only appeal is to come to the parking board and appeal if you get a ticket. So it doesn't go through district court or criminal or anything of that nature. So that's a good thing.
Jake, did you have anyone there speaking out for the dog?
Only had one lady, and surprisingly, she probably doesn't realize it, but I really think she helped our case as much as anybody. You know, she presented one other side, which was fine, but during and in her presentation, it really kind of solidified our argument that the reason we didn't want dogs in there. So it worked out fine. There were three other vets there that spoke up, and I could have had 50, but they wouldn't allow that many in, and I didn't want to take that much time. I felt like that three of us could get the job done. And you know, when you tell people, and you're in that position just like me, that if you vote against this, you're going to be a slap in the face to every veteran in Boyle County as well as the other folks buried in there. So it's kind of hard to go against that,
Yeah.
I would think. I mean, if I were sitting in that chair again, it would be hard for me to go against that. So it worked out great, and we had the commander from American Legion there. He spoke. Mr. Gustafson, who was a veteran, he spoke and clarified some things that most people didn't know. Some person, don't know who it is, some person has a key to the 3rd Street gate, some lady, and she brings 2 pit bulls in there and lets them run.
Good
Now,
gracious.
You know, I don't know why we let this go on, but you know, cemetery committee, I've talked to both of them, and of course, as you know, they all resigned over this.
Yeah.
So we don't have a cemetery committee now, but they have been telling the commission all of this for the last 2 to 3 years. So,
How come they hadn't listened, Jake?
huh?
What's your opinion? How come they hadn't listened to the committee? That's why you have a committee.
The only thing I could get from talking with everybody was I just didn't want to make the hard decision. And you could tell the couple of folks that were for it, for passing the ordinance, they still tried to give a couple of good reasons that it would be okay. You know, so they were kind of on the fence, I guess you would say.
Well,
But anyway.
tell us a little bit about, the arrangements for, go ahead, John.
Before we move away from this subject, I want to thank Jack for carrying the water for the vets.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, Jack, we appreciate it.
As I watched this unfold last night, there's one thought that came across my mind. Everybody listened. Everybody was respectful of each other. It was the way the process is supposed to work. And this Thursday, we celebrate and recognize those folks who allowed the process that was demonstrated last night, where everybody was respectful, a decision was made, the people were heard. That process we have today was, we celebrate this coming Thursday of those people who served and gave their all.
All of you who served, thank you.
I'm glad you brought that up because I should have, but it was a very respectful meeting. Nobody said anything out of line at all. In fact, 3 of the commissioners, Jenny and Kevin and Mr. Atkins, all 3 brought up the fact how many phone calls they had gotten and that they were going to listen to the public. So, I mean, it was if you could put out there a picture of how government's supposed to work, that would be a great one.
It was a great
but
example.
because
Thank you, Jack.
it was a great example of how the system should work. And if we could send that to Washington,
Bottle it and send it up there.
it would be nice.
As a veteran, I for one really appreciate you taking time and supporting it and having people call. I mean, I wouldn't have called if you hadn't asked me to, probably.
Well, it's just the right thing to do. So.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And I'd like to say, the system, I appreciate John bringing that up because the system worked and they listened to the people. And it was a very cordial exchange. I couldn't say anything more than that. It couldn't have went any better, not just because we prevailed, but because the way it was done. It was what this country's all about and what all the veterans support. That's the way it should work.
Yeah, I appreciate your involvement. Tell us about the arrangement that you're aware of about our recently departed World War II hero.
Well, you know, Paul Chandler, most of you know him. Phil and I know him especially well because we think a lot of Paul. And we've taken him out to lunch several times and that sort of thing. And if there was an example of a real hero in Boyle County, he's it. I mean, this man earned 8 battle stars. That means he fought in 8 different major campaigns in Europe. That alone is something that's unheard of. You know, normally 2 to 3 battle stars is all you hear about, major battles. From Normandy to Italy to Africa, France, the whole works. He landed behind enemy lines in a glider behind him off of Normandy Beach, about 20 miles inland is the way I understood it. You know, if you know anything about gliders, he was in 82nd Airborne, so he didn't get the parachute. He had to come in on gliders. They had a glider battalion. So he said when they landed, it wasn't a land, it was controlled crash.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And that's about it. So he kind of laughed about it, and he said they ordered us as soon as we got stopped, and the trees stopped them tearing wings off and that sort of thing. You can imagine riding down in the middle of pitch black and doing that, but I can't imagine it. And they were told by their commander to just knock holes in the side, because gliders are made of nothing but paper, really. Strong paper, naturally, but anyway, he said they were told just to kick the sides out and get out any way they could. Do not try to wait and go out the back entrance that they had or anything. So he said that we just kicked the sides out and went out that way. Men like that, you know, they just, very few and far between. So we have a lot of respect for Paul, and his services are going to be Friday, 12 to 1 at the First Baptist Church on the bypass. On Thursday night will be visitation from 5 to 7. And then his burial will be in Camp Nelson at 1:30. there's a pretty tight schedule there because scheduling in Camp Nelson right now is very, very difficult. In fact, I talked with Jim and he said they had a hard time getting a time this week because so many of our veterans are passing away.
We don't have many World War II veterans left.
Losing 3,000 a day now, and I think 87 is the year that if they got in, they were lying about their age. 87, so guys, look around, because we live to be 79, 80 years old.
It's, if we've got 30, whenever, hopefully next year we'll be able to have our Veterans Dinner again. If we have 25 or 30 show up that are left, I'll be amazed.
Yeah.
It may be less than that now.
Yeah, it's been going down pretty substantially.
It's
every
going
year.
down fast, and like I say, they run a funeral at Camp Nelson every half hour. And like I said, it took them all week to finally get a time on Friday. Of course, the reason being Thursday got knocked out because of Veterans Day, and they don't have any interments on Veterans Day. So, but anyway, that's the services, and I'm proud to be been asked to be a pallbearer as well as Phil, and also I'll be on the honor guard too to do the 21 gun salute and that sort of thing. So.
I saw some information last night. Suicides of veterans has jumped up significantly again, and particularly since Afghanistan. The people that I was hearing, watching, verified that they jumped significantly after the withdrawal of their phone calls that they got from veterans that had come back and were suffering through PTSD and all of that. So suicides continue to be a issue not to be forgotten by the public of veterans.
I think you're right. From the last I heard number was it's gone from like 22 to 25 a day.
It's just something that should never be forgotten.
Never.
What's really, Jack, being a veteran yourself, quite a while, what do you think the real reason for this, like John's talking about that many per day and so on? Is it being away from home or homesick, or what's the deal?
I'm sure that's part of the case. I mean, we all have been there in that boat, being away from home.
Yeah, but I never thought about committing suicide.
Well,
I
when
got awful homesick a few times.
it's like homeless, you never thought there'd be 300,000 homeless out there either. I mean, you know, we can bring
That's
migrants
outrageous.
in and we can bring everybody else in and we furnish everything for them, but we won't take care of our veterans. So that's one of the biggest issues.
Don't you think
in our
that
country.
some of them just feel betrayed?
Oh, absolutely. You know,
And that's
after
why it's a lot of it's
Afghanistan, for
happened.
sure.
Oh, yeah.
I would add this. We train people to go to war. They never really fully come back. And that memory stays with you. I've read too much about this. You never really come back. There's always a part of you that stays.
Do they think we're coming back?
You know, I think
It's just, it's the experience of being in the weeds. Once you're there, you don't ever get out fully. You have to experience it.
You know, you're right, John, and you know it better than anybody sitting in this room. They train us very well for everything. And then when we come back, and thank God I didn't have to see combat. You know, I was in during some difficult times, but I never had so many people shooting at me, thank goodness. But we train everybody to do everything they're supposed to do, and we train everybody what to do if you're in that situation and all of that, and even what you do if you're captured as a POW. We do all that training. But then when you come home, you quickly go into an office, you sign a piece of paper, and they look at you and say, "Everything okay?" Well, you just come back from combat. Now, what are you going to say? No, I need to go to the hospital. I need this or I need that. You're going to say, "Yeah, I'm fine," because all you want to do is get that discharge and them orders and head home. That's all you want to do. And there's nothing, imagine, I can think, but I can't imagine what it's like coming home, especially our Vietnam vets, and being treated like they were when they come home. Now, that's got to live with them forever.
Well, it's quite an adjustment, you know,
Yeah.
for all of us.
It's an adjustment just to come home after combat, I'm sure. So we need to have something, I don't think we'll ever see it, because we can't even get, we're doing much better, I think, in our veterans hospitals than we did 10 years
Oh, we're
ago.
doing better. Yeah,
5 years
Still got a
ago.
ways to go, but we're doing better.
We got a long way to go, but we're doing a lot better. And we don't, especially in Lexington, we have, I know of at least, I can think at the top of my head, 50 to 60 people in our veterans organizations that go to Lexington VA. And I'll be honest, I have never heard a negative on Lexington VA. Never. Not like we've heard in places like Wisconsin and New Jersey where people wait 6 months to see a doctor. You don't have that here, thank God.
Jack, I can speak, and I think John can too, for the hospital in Lexington. I've never been treated any kinder with any more respect than I have at both Cooper Drive and on Leestown Road.
I hear that all the time.
I mean, they're super.
That's a positive improvement to where it has been in the
Yeah,
past.
yeah.
You know,
Well-
VFW has a lot of folks that go over there, and I'm down there at least a couple times a month, and especially at our monthly meetings, but never heard a negative from Lexington. It's something to be proud of.
They're short of staff, they're short on staff. I mean, they need more people working. That's like everywhere, but
But that's been an issue for years. That just didn't happen. You can't blame that on COVID. That's been an issue for years, just
Yeah.
like our veterans nursing homes. We've got empty beds in Wilmore. And the reason they can't be filled is because we don't have enough nursing staff, because they have a number that's assigned how many people you can serve with X number of nurses. And you gotta remember Wilmore, and we had this issue several years ago that a lot of us went over there and went to the governor and several other things, but you've got the competition of the Lexington hospitals, as many as they are over there. And, you know, it's just almost impossible to keep nurses at Wilmore because naturally the government doesn't pay half what they're paying at, say, St. Joe or Central Baptist. So. And we've got empty beds over there today. We got people waiting for them, but they don't have enough nursing staff. So it's all relevant, all goes into the pot, but there again, there's a lot of reasons for it, but unfortunately, many times our veterans, like our homeless, are kind of left behind. We've got a homeless issue right here in Danville right now most people aren't aware of. If you
We're
go
gonna
out,
be talking about that a little bit later on too. Well, pretty soon, really.
yeah, on Jane Trail, back behind the mailing center out there in that little patch of woods, you know, there's a big field behind there and a street called Kim, I think. Well, in that wooded area, it's about 50 to 60 feet wide. There's probably 30, 35 living in there. Down behind AutoZone, in them woods where they used, a lot of you won't remember this, but down in that area where they had the carnivals back
Yeah, I
when I
remember
were a
that.
kid.
Oh, yeah.
Down by
All of that's
Park Run.
grown up now, and they say there's 50 to 75 in there.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
you know, our issue is growing. You don't hear much about it, but I used to think we didn't have that issue, but I'm finding out we do have that issue. So,
I didn't realize we had that many, really.
well, it's gotten worse in the last year.
That's a pretty good segue to our next guy that's waiting to come in after you is Roger Fox from Shepherd's House, and he's there to talk about an update on the homeless situation in Boyle County.
Oh, good.
But Jack, what I want to do is thank you for coming in today, short notice. You have been a role model for all the veterans here in the county, and you've done so much through the years. Part of the reason you're here is to offer you a surprise. And that surprise, Jack, is this court has unanimously approved and felt like you need to be awarded the Paul Chandler Distinguished Boyle Veteran Award for 2021. And you will be the second one to Paul being the first. And your statements about him have been so timely and gracious, but you reflect all those ideals that Paul carried throughout his military career. I wanted to surprise you because you're a tough nut to surprise. That's the reason I'm going to offer you the opportunity once this award is presented to have your lovely bride Shirley to come back up and take some photos with us. but this court is really, I will say, eternally grateful for all that you've done for the veteran population and community in this county. This award and over here so we can get a picture without the podium in our way. This is the Paul Chandler Distinguished Boyle Veteran Award, and let it be known to all that Jack Hendricks is hereby recognized for his significant sacrifice and service to the military veteran community in Boyle County and the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Established in 2020, this annual award is named after Boyle County World War II combat veteran Paul Chandler. Through his service in the United States Air Force, Mr. Hendricks helped provide the liberties and freedoms we all enjoy today in the land of the free and the home of the brave. He has continued to serve by being a custodian of military traditions that has enhanced generational awareness of our history and the virtues of service to our nation. Mr. Hendricks has been a major community leader in Veterans Day appreciation events, establishment of our beautiful Veterans Park, and a significant organizer of numerous veteran support functions. The accomplishments of Jack Hendricks have brought great credit upon himself, Boyle County, the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and the United States of America. Presented by unanimous approval by the Boyle County Fiscal Court, and a grateful Boyle County this 9th day of November, 2021, in the 179th year of Boyle County being historically bold.
And John and I get in there with you.
Absolutely. Let all the vets get in there.
Block the water, the bottled water in the back of the picture. It looks a little, want to just move over this, yeah. Okay.
All I can say is I don't know what to say for the first time in my life.
With just 1 minute.
Oh, thank you, Robbie.
All right.
Hey, General.
Yes.
Jack and I had a conversation that I would like the court to consider maybe for Memorial Day. Since we've missed several of the Veterans Day, we kind of do something like a luncheon of sort on Memorial Day or around that time to kind of make up for a couple of lost Veteran Days, and then continue on with the Veterans Day next year. So
I think that's a good idea. We need to explore that.
We'll try and do whatever.
Did we surprise you?
Yes.
Yes, you did.
What,
And you know, the Paul Chandler Award, I've gotten a few, not a great deal, but a few awards in my life, but this has been, it's been awarded a lot of family and so forth, but this means as much as any of
You're a friend, Jack, of
Yeah.
both of ours.
Yeah.
I love you.
Yep.
Yep.
The judge and I seen him the last time I'd seen him
Yep.
alive out at the Rooster. And he came in, he had that little smile on his face, and he.
I always had that smile on his
Thanks
face.
for calling me.
This is a good time to plug the bar,
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, and tomorrow, we all will be there, and I hope everybody in the room will be there, for the Blue Star Memorial dedication out in front of the courthouse at 1 o'clock. And wait till you see this monument. It is awesome.
It is awesome.
It is awesome.
That's
So
great.
you're gonna be there.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll talk about Paul Chandler tomorrow briefly, and Miss Martha has me on a tight schedule tomorrow. She said, don't talk too long.
Yeah,
You're doing a good job, Judge. You're doing.
This
all right.
is something too, just for everybody. I know I've sent an email out. If you would, make sure all your department heads know about it. This is something the VFW does every year for all of our Boyle County and city employees to thank everybody for your hard work in running this county and city. So we weren't able to have it last year. This year we hope it's going to be bigger and better, so we're having it actually out at the showcase rather than down at the VFW hall because it's more room, more parking, and that sort of thing.
What time is it, when?
December the 8th, 11 to 1.
I have those posted at the entry doors,
Oh, good.
for employee and.
Might pass that.
Great.
So anyways,
Always
come
great
on,
food.
enjoy. You know, it's
Yeah.
always good food, so come out and enjoy.
You sent it to me on my phone, so.
Oh, okay, good, good. good. I just want to make sure everybody gets, last,
Yeah.
2 years ago, we had some folks that, for some reason, didn't get the word, so.
Jack,
Anyway.
thank you again for all that you do.
Hey.
And you're special to this court and to Boyle County.
Thank you. Like I say, I'm lost for words. This is,
Everybody take a note of this.
yeah, take note of that. This is,
Well, now I feel bad Shirley wasn't here to hear this.
I just wish Paul could have been here.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Jack, I told the judge some time ago that it's gonna be hard to surprise you with anything.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think you did a wonderful job. Judge, you did good. Judge, the time was perfect with,
It was perfect. It worked out perfect.
It surprised me last night when he called and said, come up and tell us about the commission meeting. I'm thinking, wow, that's kind of weird. Come up and tell him about the commission meeting. First time it's ever happened. So, anyway, thank you all so much.
Hey, thank
Thank
you.
you, Jack.
I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. It will be cherished.
All right.
All right,
you.
thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Send Roger
Thank you.
Fox in if you don't mind.
Roger Fox. Got him coming. Come on in, Roger Fox. Thank you.
There he is.
Hey guys, how are you?
Come on in, Roger. Good to see you.
Hey,
oh, Roger,
Where we
but
at
I
on our
just-
agenda?
Michelle Marple from the Housing
Where we at
Authority
on
with
there?
me. She's got a handout for you guys.
Good.
Skip.
It'd be interesting to know that Jack
This is gonna go
just
back.
talked about the homeless situation in a couple of locations out there.
Sure.
That are not
Look at my agenda. What's going on?
generally known. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, okay. I got Roger in because that last segment ran a little bit long, but, we'll move right along. I gotta go
I
back
guess
up and
Missy will
catch up
want
on
that for
some
the
things
file.
under my, agenda, but Roger, go ahead.
All right, so first of all, we appreciate your all's time this morning. You guys know me, Roger Fox with the Shepherd's House. This is Michelle Marple with the Housing Authority. She's filling in for Tim. He was going to be with me, but he had a sick kid this morning, so he couldn't make it. We want to talk to you guys. We've been having this conversation about homelessness for a while, Judge. You know that.
Yeah,
Me
absolutely.
and you
Year and a half plus.
rode around the county looking
Yeah.
for places and opportunities. And last year, Tim called me and he said, "Hey, I have this grant where we're going to be able to provide short-term housing opportunities for homeless in our county." And that looked like a 3 to 5 day stay at a hotel and possibly a long-term option at these apartments or another location. We've actually been bounced around a little bit. We looked at a house at one point and then we ended up with 2 apartments where we were putting people in long-term. And we kicked the program off in January. And since that time, we've really been, one, we've been overwhelmed by the request, and 2, we've learned a lot about the problem in our county, in our community, and one of the things that we've really seen is like the needs and issues that people are coming to us with. The majority of the individuals that show up at the Shepherd's House to apply for this program are dealing with substance use. They're dealing with mental health. They're dealing with domestic violence. Things like that. Like these are the issues that people are really dealing with. And so we've developed this program, and Michelle can talk more about it. But I can tell you that we've served 71 individuals since we kind of kicked this program off, and that's just in hotels. So that's how many nights was it? It was over $10,000 worth of hotel vouchers, and that's at Super 8 and
138 nights.
138 nights.
And that's through September.
Yeah, and
It's
this-
actually not.
We've had a lot of requests this month, so we started.
It gets colder, you will get more requests. probably.
Exactly. So we started this, and we said we're going to do these 3-day vouchers, and we started having people coming in. Well, we noticed, like, what can I do for you in 3 days? Because typically, a lot of times, you're going to show up in my office on Friday at 2 o'clock and say, "Man, I really need a place to go," And we did that. We started. All right, well, we're going to put you up for 3 days. We're going to try to do our best to engage you. We're going to talk to you about treatment if you need treatment. We're going to talk to you about. But there's not long-term housing options in Boyle County anyway. I mean, if you're suffering from substance use or you got money, like housing in Boyle County is a problem right now. So where do we find places for these individuals to go? So that's when we just started talking about, okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to serve these people for longer? How can we serve people from 30 to 90 days and really make an impact on their lives and help them get to that next spot? Where they can begin to secure employment. I know I have stable housing, work in, I get excited, I
know.
start bouncing
Yeah,
around.
I like this show.
Yeah. And also I'll tell you that we serve a lot of women. We noticed that.
Roger, I
63.
see 2 out of 3. I'm embarrassed to say I'm so naive that I've gotten to your 4th or 5th page here. 2 out of 3 are women.
Yep, yeah. Women showing up and saying, I don't have a place to go tonight. I'm really struggling. My boyfriend's kicked me out. I don't have a place to go. You know, so seeing that, and after doing this program for almost a year, Tim and Michelle and Gwen at the Housing Authority, they've decided to kind of refocus the long-term part of the program. And I'm going to let Michelle tell you guys about what we're going to be offering very soon to women here in Boyle County that are homeless. And then we can kind of talk about what we need to do for the future, long-term, what that looks like. So,
What motel do y'all use mostly?
Super 8 right now because it's the cheapest. But
Well, we do the same thing at church. We put up a lot of people during the week at but that's on a motel in Danville that does it.
and I just want you to know this, though. And I'm not knocking any business in this community or anything like that. But go to Super 8, drive up there tonight, you'll be heartbroken. It's a sad situation there. You know, the condition that people are in, that don't have any choice, that are trying to stay warm, that are just trying to be safe. It's a bad shape.
Like Roger was saying, the percentage, it is 2 to 1, 63.5% of the people that have applied for emergency housing have been women. This is kind of a learning process. This is something that Boyle County has really never had. So we're kind of learning as we go. We are looking for a permanent property to buy, to house these places in. The hotel units, or the apartment rentals for the long term. It's not really been ideal for either party, I don't think. And we also realize that these people come in and they may stay 30, 60 days, and what is really solved when they leave. So we thought, okay, we're going to have to revamp this whole thing. I came in June and we started developing a structured program and really focused down on women because that was the biggest need. So what we're doing is now they come in, they fill out all their paperwork. We give them storage for their clothes. We provide them with the bedding. We provide them with hygiene, cleaning items. So we get them settled. They get in a stable place. And then from 8 to 4, if they don't have a job, we are doing a very structured program with them. Goodwill Employment Services is coming in 3 days a week. We're going to help them get employed. They're even doing Soft Skills Academy for free for these people. Greenhouse 17 is coming in every Thursday for domestic violence.
That's the biggest reason, most women coming in is domestic violence.
I have not had a woman yet that does not have a history of domestic violence, and most of the time these women.
When they come in, I don't mean to interrupt, but I think it's awful. Anyhow, how long are they allowed to stay with you when you do all this for them?
So we say, the way that we're redoing this program, we're going to say it's going to be like 30 to 60 or 30 to 90 days. But if they still need to stay longer and they are participating in the program, working towards employment, working towards permanent housing, we're not going to make them leave. We're going to let them keep staying and participating for sure. So I guess really as long as they need, because there are obstacles. A lot of these people do have records. Once they get some of the, their mental health and things straightened out, they do have an issue finding second chance employers. There's a bigger issue finding second chance landlords. Some of the areas of town that used to be, if you had a felonious record, you could go and live there. You can't anymore. So there's lots of obstacles to overcome. Transportation is even a big obstacle. I know we do have the Dan train in town. It is wonderful. I don't think it stops at one of our housing communities. So there's just so many things that we're working over.
They're not stopping?
I don't know.
I hope you can get an answer from them.
I don't know.
They won't go out to Lebanon Road to our women's house, which would make sense. It seems like you would drive the Dan train to the industrial park to drop people off at work. I think, in my mind, it makes sense, but to them it doesn't.
So we're really looking forward to, like the day schedule, doing these things, helping these ladies get employed, helping them with we're even wanting to partner with a gym to see if they can come in and do some type of program where they can work out there because it's good for their mental health. We feed them, of course. We help them get, a lot of them come in, they don't even have health insurance, so we help them get like their Medicaid or whatever they need to get them really started and do the structured program. We want to see them come out better than they came in. we want to help them have like their fresh start, their second chance. So
Excellent. A lot of work to do.
There is a lot
Lots
of
of
work to do, and I want to ask you, and I'm gonna be a little bit cryptic with this. Roger, when you and I drove around, we looked at some places in town. Do you think those couple of options might still be viable if we can get release on those?
It's possible. I'm worried about maybe the location.
Yep.
Closer to a school or something like that, because in this situation where you are housing people, you know, you're gonna have people that show up that have probably some violent charges. You know what happens if you've ever been to the homeless shelter in Lexington, the guys that show up there are guys that get out of prison and don't have anywhere else to go. You know, and they're coming back to this community, and then, oh, I'm gonna go. So that's always an
That
issue.
might rule that out.
And we understand, you know, not my backyard is a real thing. So we're trying to be conscious of that. We are looking for places, and the community's changing now. You know, I mean, what we're doing on Lebanon Road with Shepherd's House, like, that's showing that the community is changing. You know, like, they're becoming more accepting. But we can't really wait for them to be fully accepted. We have to start acting, because we are really, I mean, it's a lot of work.
How much room do you have on Lebanon Road, and how many do you have out there now?
So our conditional use permit goes up to 12. We've been in agreement with the Industrial Foundation to just try to keep it at 8. We're at 10 right now. We just rented a house next to the Shepherd's House on 3rd Street, that little house, 2-bedroom. We're gonna put 4 women in there, so that's gonna open up some room for us. So we have like 15 women that'll be engaged in our women's program.
How many will you be able to put in that little house that you just purchased?
4. We're just
4.
gonna put 4 in there, yes, sir. Because of zoning laws and, you know, things like that. So.
Now, are you talking about having women in there that's had problems?
Yes, sir. The women that'll be next to our office will be women that are more advanced in the program, that have been in the Shepherd's House for 6 months, that are employed, that are showing leadership skills, you know, that are really trying to transition out to find their more permanent solution.
Right. You just need a place to live right now.
Yes, sir.
Roger, I think I know the answer, but what percentage of all these folks that you try to help, drugs started this? What was percentage of drugs related?
I'm gonna say it's 95% or
95.
more. I mean, yeah.
So really, if you're gonna try to solve this, part of this pieces of the puzzle is to attack the drug issue. Is that is that an accurate
Absolutely.
statement?
Substance use or mental health, either one. You know, and co-occurring.
But that's where everything starts.
Yes,
So
sir.
you can't forget that.
Yes,
You
sir.
gotta go there and attack and have a plan to take care of that in order to try to prevent what follows up.
Yes, sir. So we're really, you know, if we're just engaging people for those 3 days, we're pushing treatment. You know, how about you go somewhere for 28 days and just try to, you know, start getting your mind right, and then we can discuss options as you're coming back to the community. But then also, there's, you know, where, you know, we're talking about women, but what about the 1/3 of men? Where do they go? You know, so.
On your PowerPoint here, you talk about the housing authority leases 2 apartments for transitional housing. Can you explain that a little bit, and
Yeah.
who that serves and how that works?
So that's what we've been doing. The lease on that actually ends in a few weeks. So we're not moving anyone new into there. That's why we're looking for a new property to buy. Leasing apartments is not ideal. We found that, you know, they would come in, they would stay in the apartments. They didn't really want to engage in any case management. And sometimes they would leave worse off than they came in. So that's why we really hit the ground running, saying we need to buy a property that we can get these people into a shared living situation. We're applying for grants for more employees. We need volunteers. We can't leave these people. We need someone in the house 24/7 with them, monitoring the situation. So that's really where we're moving from those apartments, looking to buy, or we need a place.
That was a learning lesson on our part. One of the things that we want, and I think is important to the community, is that, oh, we have a building, we're saying, hey, here's our shelter, right? Here's our shelter. So you come and live in our shelter and you don't do anything to work your way out of our shelter. We don't want that to be, we don't want you to be here a year, 2 years, 3 years. We want you to be here 90 days and start looking at more permanent options. So that's why we're providing this structure to push people. Like, hey, this is our buy-in. We're giving you a place to sleep tonight. We're going to give you some food. But also, we need some contribution from your end to show that you want to engage in this program. This isn't a free ride.
And there's a certain group of those individuals that will not
Absolutely.
commit to that.
Absolutely.
So they have to sign a contract to come into this program now, saying that they will. They know up front what we can offer them and what their expectations are. If there's certain rules, we call the Big Ten. If they break these rules, they have to leave the program. It's wonderful that we do work with Shepherd's House because of the substance abuse end. We don't take anyone actively using into the emergency housing program because we're not skilled to give them the help that they need. But Roger and his crew are. So.
We had to have a rotation. to
Yeah.
help more, you know. to help
So it
more
kind of
people.
filters through. If
Because
they come
you-
in.
If you leave them in there for a long, long time, you
Yes.
hurt somebody else for not getting in there.
Exactly. So you have to comply, you have to run through.
This many women coming in, I'm sure that there's a lot of kids involved in it. Or there not. What do you do with the kids?
Most of the time, so we're looking for a place that's big enough for us to be able to expand when we get more volunteers and more employees
What
to
you
be
doing
able to
right now
serve
with them?
with the children too. Most of the women that apply though, they don't have children. We have had some, but you can't put children into a shared living situation with people who
Right.
are suffering with their mental health.
Most of them's lost their kids.
And a lot of them, a lot of them have had
Yeah.
family court cases or something like that.
And the kids are not with them. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess
Grandparents are-
an extension of my question with that one slide I saw in here is,
Yeah.
is this facility that we're looking for, would this be an extension? Do you all envision this being an extension of the housing authority's services, or would this be managed and operated by a different entity?
So Tim Kitts, the executive director of the Housing Authority, is the one who's really kind of stormed this. But no, it falls under the Families Forward nonprofit umbrella. It's not. We work for the Housing Authority too. We kind of have two jobs. But this nonprofit is separate. It won't be a Housing Authority property. It'll be Families Forward for emergency transitional housing.
Which hopefully will open us up to obviously donations and grant opportunities and things like that.
In which we have seen wonderful people from the community donating things. Honestly, it has been wonderful. And so we're really excited. We have a lot of stuff for whenever we find this new property to get in and to really hit the ground running with this program for these women.
And you're reaching out to the public throughout the county, how, by radio? And
Social media, we've been doing some social
Social
media
media.
stuff, and we're gonna plan on getting on the radio and things like that.
Word of mouth helps a lot too.
Absolutely.
You'd be surprised what Facebook can do.
I can't brag enough on Tim and Michelle and Gwen, that team over there. Like Chad Holderman called me on a Sunday and said, "Hey, we had somebody that got out of jail this morning. They've been sitting on our front porch all day, and somebody told me to call you." So this is Sunday at like 5 o'clock. I called Tim. He's like, "Yeah, no problem. We'll figure it out." Arranged transportation for that person to go to the hotel for 3 days and helped them get off the front porch of the jail, right? Not go back to jail and have a safe place to stay for 3 days.
Don't get fed out there.
yeah, but so that's
How
the
is-
kind of work that they do.
How's food provided at the motel?
I take it over there. We get donations from the community. We have some churches who monthly bring in donations for us. And I beg. I'm a professional beggar, I think. And people bring in food for our housing authority pantry. We put it under our services umbrella so that it can be utilized. They know when they bring it in, it can be utilized for our housing residents or for our people in emergency housing.
You have storage for perishables?
My office is in a community center. It's on Toombs Court in the Batewood section. It looks like a little chapel in the back. And I'm surrounded by food. So, yeah,
noticed
we do.
on,
Lots of shelves, lots of closets.
If you lease 2 apartments, do you get a discount on those apartments? Or do you have to pay the?
I don't think so.
No.
No. And that's really just the
Based on
motivation
the value.
behind moving as well. I'm trying to find a more permanent location for
Yeah.
ourselves.
Yeah. What do you pay for the lease? Do you have any idea right on?
I don't know.
I'm not sure. Tim, he had a family emergency yesterday. I can ask him that and get back with you
I
about it.
just wondered.
Yeah.
Well,
But we do not plan on renewing the lease with the apartments. We plan on buying our own. It's not been ideal for, I think, the landlord or us to do it that way.
All right, what else do we have?
That's it. Just that moving forward, it's got to be continued to have this conversation about a more permanent place for people not involved in this long-term program, but just a place, a shelter for individuals to come, sleep for a few days. Nicholasville has a great model of what they do. Nicholasville, the guy is just taking over that program. he has a great model. It needs some work, it needs some case management, something that Shepherd's House can offer, you know? But it just needs to be expanded on, but we have to have, we have a homeless problem here. We have to admit that.
If,
And
you wanna foot in the door with local county government over there, I've got a great rapport with the Judge West, and
Yes, sir.
we can set you up with a presentation. But
yes, sir.
I
Yes, sir.
think that's part of it.
We know the city attorney in Nicholasville as well.
We know the city attorney in Nicholasville too.
Yeah.
Really?
I think he got fired last night.
Judge,
Yes, sir.
could I suggest that the court consider having the folks from Nicholasville come and talk to us so that we can learn as a court, and we might be able to see where we could help out?
Yes, sir.
And you all are welcome to come, and
Yeah,
I just
if
like
we
to hear
get
their.
them here, I'd like to have.
I'd like to
our-
hear their
He
story.
had an
Show
office,
back.
he had an office in Nicholasville right in front of him, so I'll go over there and talk to him.
Okay.
And see, so,
Have you met Judge West yet?
oh yeah.
Okay, cool.
We go way back.
All right, good.
Well, we appreciate you guys always. Shepherd's House is booming. Come by sometime, see us.
Is Jared still doing okay?
Who knows?
I don't see him anymore.
I think he just stays on vacation.
Can I add one thing?
Yes,
Jared.
please.
I know just a little bit about Dan Tran from doing the parking garage project. On their website, it looks like they're taking public comment for proposed changes to the transportation route. So I think this would be the time for all of us to go online and look at how to submit public comment and try to help them get some drop-off spots closer to where you need it. Because it doesn't do us any good if we don't. So if you Google Dan Tran, you'll find it, and then you can follow through, and it's under the About section.
Do they get both public and private
Yes.
funding?
Yes.
Yes.
If it hadn't been for Julie, we wouldn't have that service here in town, I can tell you that.
Well, as always, like I said, we
Plug in.
I'll
appreciate
tell you what, I'm
guys.
still.
Yes, thank you all so much for having us.
Thank you for coming in today.
No problem.
One quick question.
Yeah.
I know we talked about the substance abuse problem. What about the domestic violence problem? Do you guys have classes that are helping make sure that they don't fall back into these same
Absolutely.
relationships and?
Absolutely. Greenhouse 17 is coming in every week and doing a workshop, but it doesn't stop there. These girls don't have to wait till Thursday when Greenhouse 17 comes. They are on it. I don't know if you all know a lot about Greenhouse 17, the domestic violence, but they are wonderful. They are truly wonderful, and these girls can call them anytime. They will help them. They will advocate for them. They will help them find legal aid. Yes, they do a lot. They do a lot of empowerment with them. They even have, there's another emergency shelter they can go to if they need to get away and no one know where they're at.
Well, the best thing is, it looks to me like these ladies, my God, you got twice the amount of females you have males. That shocked me. And another thing is the age, but I don't know, I know the best thing for them, looks to me like, was get away from the situation. Instead of when they leave you going back into the same
Yeah, and that's part of the
environment that they came
recovery,
from.
yeah.
They're going right back into the same problem.
Well,
Yeah.
the best thing for them is a positive role model at home that starts at a very young age,
Yeah.
making sure that they understand their
That
self-worth
person they get along with, yeah.
and to keep away from the people. And it's on both sides. It's, if the family is doing its job to making sure that the young boys understand how to respect and treat people, and then the young women understand that their self-worth is more than they give them credit for.
And that's why this program is so important for the next generation.
Right.
It is, it is.
Yes.
It is.
You know,
Yeah,
not
thank
only is drugs a big piece of this puzzle, but you have veterans coming back from combat who are rolling in and have trouble with PTSD, and that gets involved in domestic situations.
Absolutely.
Ends up in a lot of split families.
It's a system. Homelessness
Yeah.
is a system, and there's all these different keys that have to be solved to solve homelessness.
You
and
gotta
that's why
attack
we
the
want all
pieces of the
these.
puzzle
Yeah.
to totally try to solve the issue.
You definitely have to work interprofessionally. It takes a large amount of different agencies coming together. It's going to take all of us. It's going to take everybody.
That's why ASAP attempts to bring a lot of this together, and
Yeah.
that's such a good group
love
of
ASAP.
folks. Kathy
Thank you.
does a
Thank you.
great job.
Thank you all so much.
Y'all have a good day.
You too.
Thank y'all.
I've gotta go back and recoup some of my stuff earlier that I was trying to move us along. Well, let's go ahead and press on. We can do that at the end. Come on in, please. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm just here to present, for us to purchase a Dodge Charger at state bid price, $28,997. It would be from Freedom Dodge in Lexington, due to the fact that it's the lowest, and it's already at state bid, and it's already ready for us to pick up and take to get equipped.
I'll make that motion.
My question is, why do you need it? How many trucks do you have now?
Second it. How many trucks?
Yeah.
Now we can
have
proceed with
4.
discussion.
Right, 4 trucks. Why do you need another truck?
Well, we have our Ford Tauruses that our school resource officers now drive. It's pretty
My
much
question
every
is,
other
why
day.
do they drive a 4-wheel drive truck?
They're not driving 4-wheel drive trucks. They're driving Ford Tauruses that are 2013, I think, or 2014s. They have issues every other day. They're in the shop. When they're not being school resource officers, they're being on active patrol, answering calls. So it's to the point now we have to start phasing those Ford Tauruses out, which is why the lowest thing you can get is a Dodge Charger right now. So that is kind of where we are phasing the Tauruses out.
Are you gonna, do we have some we're gonna surplus out?
I don't know if what the sheriff will do with those, but I'm sure that's what would probably happen if we try to sell those or
Do you have
surplus
any
them.
idea how many vehicles we have in the fleet?
I couldn't give you a accurate answer right now. Wasn't prepared for that.
I don't know, more we have, the higher the insurance premium's gonna be.
Usually what Derek has done in the past is if you bring a new one in, something goes out the other end, that is the oldest high mileage vehicle that we've got.
Yeah, we had 2 go out about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, we had 2, and before that we had 1 or 2, if I'm not mistaken, but.
If we let them go any longer, we're not going to get anything out of them anyway. If those older Ford Tauruses,
It'd be almost zero value.
yeah. So the longer we keep
Well, the trucks will hold their value better when you get rid of it.
This isn't a truck, though, is it?
Yeah, it's
No.
not a truck.
This is a Dodge Charger.
Charger
This
is
is
a
a
car. It's a car.
Four-door.
It's a car.
It's a 4-door sedan.
Okay.
Okay, so that's why, but we, just to recap, we have a motion by, Magistrate Cullen and a second by Magistrate Gay to approve the purchase. Cause it's budgeted for, it's in the budget,
Yes, sir.
and I just haven't asked Derek what goes out the back end, but something usually.
It'll
always does.
either be the older model Explorers or the older model Tauruses that
Yeah, right.
the school resource.
He talked about this with the committee, about a couple months ago, that this was gonna be done, so it needed to be done. And just as a reminder, Phil, the reason they have trucks, you look at that big blue section, there's a lot of roads that are not paved that they have to go and respond to calls. They don't all just go to nice neighborhoods that have nice paved roads. They need to be able to get where they need to get to, and that's why a lot of them need those trucks. Besides the fact that they hold their value a lot more than those sedans do. And let's be
I
honest,
wonder who the Magistrate is over
Wonder who it is? I don't know.
Never can imagine.
troublemaker. but also, you sit in one of those sedans for what, 8-10 hours a day, and I know state police officers that would love to be able to have the trucks or the Suburbans that we have, because they have chronic back problems, they have chronic leg problems, because you got all that gear on, and then you're sitting in this tiny little confined space that's really uncomfortable. So, we ask a lot of our officers, and we need to give them the best equipment, and it just turns out that we get a good amount of money back on these trucks and these SUVs. So,
Well,
thank you,
another
Casey.
thing you gotta consider is your gas mileage.
That's correct.
Your car's gonna get a lot better gas mileage than your truck is.
Correct. And a lot of, if it, going toward SRO, it would be more likely used in the,
Yeah,
Well, they get 12, maybe 14,
If
if they
that.
get that.
if they get that, depending on where you're going.
is this gonna be a 22, or do you know?
It is a 21.
It's a 21.
Yes.
Does that price include all the extras?
This is just
Just
paid for
the
the vehicle.
vehicle purchase.
Yes.
SO usually pays for the
yes.
accoutrements that go inside of it.
Equipment, yes.
A new word.
But my-
Check it out. It's a real word, you guys. Look it up.
Right on target.
I need to know how to spell it first.
Can you spell that, sir?
I can get close.
Accoutrements.
Hey.
A, begins with an A.
Call for a vote.
All right,
It means goodies.
all right. There being no more discussion, all those in favor of the motion before us, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cap. All right,
Where we at?
Hang on just a minute.
Hold on, Brian.
Just a minute.
go back, go back and recover. Let me read real quick before Brian comes in, and I don't mean to say real quick to diminish the importance of this, but I would like to read a recommended, which I think is good, Nurse Practitioners Week proclamation for record. And after I read it, then entertain a motion to approve the proclamation and go forward with that. I'll read this Nurse Practitioners Week proclamation. Whereas nurse practitioners serve as trusted healthcare providers for patients in our state, and whereas nurse practitioners are at the forefront of efforts to combat COVID-19, leading efforts to test, diagnose, and treat patients and prevent the spread of the virus. And whereas nurse practitioners practice in clinics, hospitals, emergency rooms, urgent care treatment centers, nursing homes, and private practices across the Commonwealth, wherever patients are in need, and whereas nurse practitioners work to expand access to care in underserved communities, in health disparities, and eliminate outdated barriers to practice so nurse practitioners can practice to the full extent of their experience and education, and whereas patients depend on more than 9,600 licensed nurse practitioners in Kentucky to diagnose, manage, treat their chronic and acute health care conditions, and whereas patients have confidence in nurse practitioners provide a high-quality primary, acute, and specialty health care services that emphasize health promotion, disease prevention, health education, and counseling that guides patients to make smarter health and lifestyle choices every day. And whereas more than 5 decades of research confirms the high quality of care provided by nurse practitioners, and whereas better utilization of nurse practitioners through modernized state laws and improved policies creates better health through a more accessible, efficient, cost-effective, and higher quality of healthcare system, and whereas leading governmental policies, entities including the National Academy of Medicine, National Council of State Boards of Nursing, National Governors Association, and the Federal Trade Commission have taken notice of the benefits providing patients full and direct access to nurse practitioner care. And whereas the Boyle County Fiscal Court is proud to recognize and honor the service of nurse practitioners to our county and state, that be resolved, therefore, I, my name, and County Judge Executive hereby declare November 7 through 13, 2021 as Nurse Practitioner Week in Boyle County, recognition of the countless contributions nurse practitioners have made over the past half century and will continue to make on behalf of the health and well-being of all of our citizens. I would love to entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
And a motion made by Magistrate Ellison, seconded by Magistrate Gay. I think I didn't mean to diminish the significant importance of the observation of this proclamation, because it is, nurse practitioners have reached probably every one of our lives in this room in some way, shape, or form, and provided a service that causes us to be here today in a better state than we may have been.
Absolutely.
Judge, I started in the healthcare field 49 years and 2 months ago. My first assignment was Frankfurt. And think about access to healthcare today when we have such a myriad of PTs, PAs, NPs, folks. it said 50-year window. Mine's 49 years. The resistance in Frankfurt, the resistance in Texas, where I was with a group that traveled there, the resistance in Washington, D.C. by physicians to all the practitioners that we enjoy today, and yet we're still in such a shortfall of having enough folks. Just as Jack testified about Wilmore not having enough nurses to be able to use all the beds for veterans. This is one of the most important proclamations we'll vote on this year, if not for the past 2.5 years. How many of you have just absolutely said, no, I won't go to a PA, NP? None of us do anymore. That resistance is gone. We need to honor these men and women who serve in these roles. And I'll just stop right there because they're so important to the healthcare system.
I agree 100%. So if there's no other comments, appreciate those. Magistrate Ellis. And all those in favor of approving this proclamation, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, and motion carries unanimously. Thank you for that. One other thing, I've got two other things on my section of the consent calendar. I would like to do one now and reserve one toward the end because it may take a little bit more discussion. But I would like to entertain a motion to approve the 40-hour training local government for our jailer,
Second.
Brian Wofford. And the motion was made by Magistrate Cole, second by Magistrate Short. You see the paperwork in your folder. Any questions?
Nope.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Just to start you out, Mr. Jailer, that we just voice vote and approve your incentive pay from the Department of Local Government.
My wife appreciates that. Thank you very much.
Good time to get it, Christmas time.
Yes, it
It was
is.
a
And
close
tax
one.
time.
Tax time, you got that.
It was a
We had
close
one.
vote, though.
It was close.
Jailer, we had one abstain.
Well, Judge, I've never started off a court meeting like this, but I'm going to say this. What I tell you today could change by the time I walk out of this room or tomorrow. But all of you are aware of the Supreme Court ruling that changes how we can bill for inmates. We've been working on this constantly, trying to figure out how to make it work. Everything is, it's still up in the air. So basically, I'm going to have a judge's order before I can bill an inmate. And I know our county attorney and I have been talking about this, working on it. One of the things I was going to ask our county attorney, would the judge be able to issue a standing order, or would we have to actually do it for everybody that's pleads or is found guilty, have a standing order that we could bill them? And then if the case is dismissed or they're found innocent, we wouldn't charge them? Or do we have to have a order on each individual person?
Yeah, since this came out last week, I haven't even gotten to speak with my district judge since we're out of town. But I texted him, just that Supreme Court ruling, and I hope to meet with him tomorrow, and I can answer that question after then.
Okay. So there will be some things that I can charge for that's admissible or allowed. Some fees I can collect, like the $5 fee we collect for if we do a bond, which, we get $5. We can still collect that. And then there's some others, like if they damage property, we can assess them for those kinds of things. I think we're still going to be okay on the 25%. I know I spoke with some of you all. So after several phone calls yesterday, I think we're still going to be able to go ahead with that. But the problem is on our system, tracking people and making sure, when they accrue a bill, is following that through. So we still have some hurdles on our end with our software we use on tracking it to make sure we're being efficient on it. So we're going to have to call our jail trackers, the company we use, and see if they can do. And I'm sure they're going to have to do it for 4 other jails that are open. So they're going to have to do it for all of, or the ones they serve. So
you know, the bad news, any existing money that is owed to us is gone. We cannot go back and collect.
And that's significant.
And
That is significant.
moving forward, you know, there's going to be a delay now in the collection process because we can't do it until we have an order from the judge, which hopefully Chris will have a better answer for that. And then, you know, there's going to be a decrease in the amount we collect. And if you all seen the handouts, the two charts that should have it in your packet, looks like this. So in the past 3 months, you know, we've collected just $50,000, and then if you look at last year, it's almost $165,000 is what we've collected. So this is going to impact
An indeterminate amount.
my
going
revenue.
forward.
Yeah, it's going to cost us money. It's going to decrease, you know, any future payments moving forward, and we're going to see a loss in revenue. So,
Jailer, would it be possible to, this is gonna take some extra work, but either way, it's gonna be extra work. When these monies come in, or however this happens, are you able to set up an escrow account where you can kind of put technically that certain portion that normally would be held in an escrow account that does not get touched by you, and then if they're found, like if the charges are dismissed or whatever, it goes back to the person? But then if they're found that we can start
I
charging
don't think
them.
I'm allowed to do that. So what we'll do is we'll monitor, we'll track, you know, as their days, so their booking fees, the days accrue. We'll monitor that and keep a track and then bill them. But I don't think we can open up a account like that. I don't think legally I can do that.
Is there any thought or discussion, I'm sure this is a county attorney and others discussion, but that we could potentially have to pay back funds that have been captured in the past, and if so, do we need to budget accordingly to have that money
That would be,
available?
that, you know, I know they could go back 5 years, but that would be a conversation for the county attorney. And that could be a possibility, and that's some of the questions we asked last Tuesday in our conference meeting. And so I don't know. They didn't think it would be very likely, but it could be, anything's possible.
And I don't know that answer.
What was the big reason for this change?
There was a case, and if you all remember, I actually told you about it last February. I'd mentioned this, and I said we would know something in 45 days. Well, we didn't. We're just now finding out. But there was a case in Winchester where a gentleman was arrested and was in jail, and then he was found innocent.
Yeah,
and then
remember that.
the jail would not refund his money. So he got a lawyer, took it to court, and then the lower courts upheld this because he was there, paid the bill, but then the Supreme Court overruled the lower court's decision because, and I've got the KRS here, and it's KRS 441.265. It says a prisoner in a county jail shall be required by the sentencing court to reimburse the county for expenses incurred by reason of the prisoner's confinement as set out in this section, and it goes through that. So, but for the past 20 years, you know, every jail in the state, you know, this is how it was operated. You know, they build it, but now the Supreme Court the Kentucky Supreme Court says, no, you actually have to have a judge's order. So.
It's after sentencing.
Yes.
Not just.
Right, they can't do it till after the
It can't be pre-sentencing, it has to be after sentencing.
Right.
Can they do it at sentencing? Simultaneously?
Yes, that's when they would do it.
That's when they would do it.
That's when they would do it, yeah.
So that's what I'm, you know, looking at if, because we'll receive paperwork that will enter our system saying, you know, this person pled guilty, time served, or they've got to do so many days. So that's when we would actually be able to bill them. So, like, you know, if we, instead of the judge or Chris, somebody would have to send us an order on every one of them to go along with it, because I cannot bill without that order from the court. Or the judge could do a standing order, and if this person is found guilty or, you know, pleads, then they would be responsible for paying those bills. And if they're innocent or the case is dropped, then we would not charge them for the booking fee and the housing.
Well, that doesn't happen very often, does it?
Not often. And I've not looked at the numbers. It's hard, you know, to track, but Chris would maybe know more about that than than I would, but I don't,
I couldn't quote you a number.
No.
yeah.
I think that's unfair to ask. All right. So what do you need from us?
Well, I just wanted to know that
FYI.
this is, you know, this is what's happening. You know, we're gonna lose revenue, and my ability to collect what we've been collecting is gonna fall short. So I want you to be prepared. And also, but I want to end with some good news. Since the fiscal court implemented the raise for the staff at the jail, we're starting to see better applicants. And some of these are retired from other states, or about to retire. There's a lot of people. We've got a couple that's decided they wanted to leave up north and move down here to the promised land in Danville. And so they've put in some applications. Now, we've not hired them yet, but we are seeing a better quality or, you know, of applicants coming in.
Morale.
On that word that they count.
Yes, yes. Morale's good. You know, this, you know, by passing this raise, it's definitely not going to hurt us. And I think, you know, we're still getting a lot of applications that I can hire. I mean, there's just no way I could hire these folks because of their criminal history, or, you know, there's something in there that prevents me from hiring them. But we are seeing better qualified people apply.
I tried. He won't hire me either.
So thank you all. I appreciate it.
Did the right thing, but I've been on this court a long time, and that's the largest per hour raise I've ever seen.
Well, it was well
And they
deserved
deserved
and
it.
well needed.
I'm saying that everyone deserved it, and working out there, I wouldn't do it myself for any amount of money, so.
It's hard. Listen, I've done everything in law enforcement, but
Hard
ride a
job.
horse and work a dog, and this is definitely the hardest job
It's
in law
harder than what
enforcement.
it was when you was doing undercover work, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Working undercover is a cakewalk to this,
Yeah.
so.
It's just hard job, so.
You need Phil out there. He'll scare him straight. He'll talk him straight.
Brian, but do you want to make any reference to this article about jails that was in Sundays that I asked you about? And you, you probably read it, so.
Yes, I read it Sunday morning
I think
online.
it shows what jail, being connected with jails is really like. It's an interesting story, don't you find it?
It is, and it's every jail across the state faces those issues.
Those issues,
you know,
and what he deals with.
You know, with the old buildings and the level of care that we are, the services we have to provide, and then there's no money there to do it. You know, the state sometimes is real good about saying, you're going to provide this, but they don't write a check to go along to pay for it. And you know, a lot of times I think they put the burden on the county taxpayers.
Well.
But if you all haven't read that, it's a good article to read on what we're facing.
Yeah, and one other point on that note is, where do we stand and what do we need to do to no longer house state inmates?
It's scary, because actually that's what I've written down. This.
It's a discussion worth going forward with, but
We've got to look at it, and some numbers have changed, and I want to make sure we have it. And this is something that I don't recommend we rush through, and then we have to check to see if we can do it. But it's a process we're going to start working on, and the judge and I've had this conversation. So we're going to start looking at it, and as we move forward, we'll present some evidence
And
or
for the court's
information.
For the court's information, Mercer is extremely well aware of this and sympathetic
and
to.
interested in the same potential processes ahead of us.
Perhaps even getting the Attorney General as the top cop in Kentucky involved.
And you know, once we get some numbers, and once our new treasurer gets settled in and give her some time, I'd like for her to sit and double check our math and make sure our numbers are correct.
Judge at CACO, Rich Ornstein mentioned that he was aware of what you and I've talked about, and Jamey have talked about trying to get together and pull together, even with the.
Was he receptive to that?
Yes, yeah.
You know, the
Jailers Association.
The one issue we have now is the way the existing structure is. If we move out state inmates, of course, we're always going to have about 30 CIs. Those are waiting to be scheduled after they've been sentenced in circuit court. Is I'm going to have 80 beds that I cannot use because of the way the security, the building is laid out. So what could happen is I'm going to have the county side full, and I'm going to have 80 empty beds that I can't use because of the security level. And I think the state would make it pretty hard on us, or could if they wanted to. So that's why we need to make sure we're, you know, I think the right move would be, let's get the jail built or redesigned and take out those beds where the whole facility is secure, so we wouldn't have any issues. That, as your all's jailer, that would be my recommendation before we really tackle this. Let's get through the jail reconstruction first, so we're on firmer ground.
So we're not moving in January when the General Assembly goes forward? I mean, there are issues we can address with them.
Well, I think the issues need to be the per diem. You know, they've not raised the cost and the medical costs in 16 years, and I think that's the big thing.
Yeah.
Is definitely, you know, the state pays more money. If they, you know, if they would be fair and pay, you know, what it costs us, it'd be a little different. But I think though we could shoot ourselves in the foot if we don't get the building fixed first.
Ryan, these 80 beds that you have, what's the real problem we can't use them?
Because of the level of security, for county side, they have to be behind 2 doors, and then on the state side, those 80 beds, there's drywall there. It's not block walls, so I can't house those pre-sentence inmates on that side. I can only house state inmates that are like Class C and D. It all has to do with the security level and their classification of the inmates that we house. So that's why I think we need to get the jail fixed first.
You don't think that you could put minor offenses in there?
No, because of the way the security is. It would violate KRS and all the DLC rules.
More important, those minor offenses, we need to circle back on this ankle.
Oh, yeah.
Ankle.
Yeah, I'm agreement on that.
And we're having
yeah, I mean, that's gonna save us a ton, so.
And we're having a meeting Friday here at 10. So a joint jail, if you all would like to be there. And I don't think we have anybody on the agenda, but I think we'll probably vote this time to put out a RFP
for that.
And then let everybody, and then let it come to the joint jail first, and then to, you know, if they want to present to both fiscal courts or something, that would be an option.
Did you learn anything last week in your meetings in Louisville that jumped out at you that you want to share with us, that gave us a little optimism for detention centers?
I learned you almost have to be crazy to want to do this job.
You knew that going
in.
in.
I knew that going in. You know, there's some things going as association. You know, we're moving toward on coming together. But I think the big key, and I know, you know, the judge has tried to help with this, and Mr. Sammons has tried to help as well. Yes, sir. Is we need the Jailers Association, the Magistrate Association, the Judge Association united and going forward on this. And that's the only, with KCO's assistance, that's the only way we're going to have any hope to get changed with the legislature on the what, you know, the state paying what they need to pay.
It brings up a question in my mind is why hasn't this already happened? The problems you're having now are not this born yet.
Oh, they're not new.
They're not new.
No.
Why hasn't these groups come together already? You know, let me get on my soapbox. We have problems out there, and we use the same game plan year after year after year. We don't get away from the game plan when the problem doesn't get solved. That's my complaint. We got it in
and you know, when you keep doing the same thing and expecting different results is the definition of insanity.
We've done it for years. Why don't we wake up?
I'm gonna have to come to the defense of Keiko on that. I think they've tried, Keiko's tried. You remember a guy by the name of Tommy Turner, Judge, you remember him well, been with Keiko yourself. Tommy has been before the legislators and the talk that he's give about for the jails to the point you're talking about, but it went on deaf ears evidently. Nothing's happened.
Well, I think that's why we need, if KCO could facilitate and get all 3 organizations together and then take it, because if you remember Friday morning, the gentleman from what county down in, not London, but was a judge executive, stood up and spoke, and everybody clapped when he talked about the jails and the funding, and the state's not done anything. So, and everybody in the room clapped. You know,
I don't say this facetiously at all. I show it as an example of KCO, KMCA, Jailers Association, the courts, all coming together. It was back in the 80s that they were going to do something to coon hunters in Kentucky. It was going to be hard to coon hunt in Kentucky. Over 200 hunters, each one with at least one dog, showed up in Frankfort. And do you know they didn't do anything bad to the coon hunters? Have to be on those steps in mass. And the first thing would be the per diem. But that's what we talked about with Mercer County, just mid-month last month. And the judge is talking about getting the AG and all the entities together. That's what will change things, not one or two people testifying, but people marching on the Capitol, marching up the steps to the Senate, marching up the steps to the House, and occupying the building. And that's how change takes place in Frankfort. Same thing happened with the blind about 30 years ago. Over 100 blind people came to Frankfort to petition for help. Can you imagine 100 canes tapping up the steps? They did it quite dramatically. We have to use those kinds of tactics.
Unfortunately, I think everybody in this room knows that, Magistrate K. Wood, that the real reason there's been lack of movement on this very issue that's not new is because there's such a disparate difference between what we get and what we need from the state regarding payment and compensation per diem, that there is a distinctive financial advantage for the state to not change their protocols because of cost.
And yet our taxpayers do not know that.
But we've done it, and I asked Secretary Gray last year, we've done the same program, the same game plan for the gas tax issue.
Yes.
We've done it for years. And I said to him, this is in the big room with about 800 people, I said, why can we not move this issue? He didn't have an answer. He had no answer that day. But I see it and see it the years that I've served. It starts at the ballot box, I guess.
Well, and two, and I just want to set this out here, is if we do away with the state inmates, they're the only inmates paying right now. So, we need to keep that in mind. But I think definitely we need to get back on track and get the jail moving on the reconstruction and get it done and over with, so we are on solid grounds moving forward, because if we don't, we could easily shoot ourselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Well, and I do want to go back to that last point, though, you just made, because I think it's important also for our citizens to understand that while, yes, they're the only ones paying, but it costs twice as much as what they're paying to keep them. And so that's still not a winning,
And
winning formula.
And I agree.
It's definitely not a winning.
And that nobody would stay in business if that's your formula of staying in business.
No, you wouldn't, and I don't know why they would expect government to run that way. Right. And I agree 100%, but I'm saying, if down the road and something changes, if we can get more money, we may want to look at that. I just put it, I'm not saying I'm for, I'm just trying to think down the road,
I agree,
different
and I think
possibilities.
your thought process is, I agree completely that we've got to get our jail to a position that we can safely do what you all have to do, and that we can hopefully less manpower manage the same facility with a better design and all of those type of things.
Change where we can use those 80 beds. What I'm sitting here thinking about, we can do something. It shouldn't cost all that much. It will cost, but looks like we still have it. I'm just wondering, when we get together, you're talking about KCO and jailers and judges and KMCA and everybody. What about Representative Daniel? And what about Senator Girdler?
I think
we need those guys.
I think they need to be there listening to the group.
Well, we need them, and I think we all have a kind of a personal. I know the judge does, and I have a personal touch with both these guys. So I don't see why we can't get them on our side too, and especially Girdler, him being a senator, would have more power. So.
And I think that's an excellent idea.
I
think that's the way we need to go.
I wanted to to do that this past week, but, that opportunity didn't play out. But there was a lot of discussion about detention centers, so, but it wasn't in the same vein that I think that we need to address issues that small, county jails are having with cost.
My point is to change the game plan and try something new, different, innovative, get out of the box. Let's figure it out.
Yeah.
Got good people and good minds, and
I know we have been beating this around, but in one of the points that Magistrate Kaywood made in one of the sessions I was in as far as legislative issues was that we've also, a big part of this equation is judicial reform. And we've also got to look at that.
They gotta
I think that's coming. It's got to
they gotta be at the table. They're the ones who create the need for the detention centers, because they hand the clients off to Brian and his group.
Absolutely right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it. Go
Thanks
ahead
for
and
the
send,
discussion.
Dwayne in.
We don't talk about it, we won't ever get there, will we, Jamey?
I didn't see, Daniel or Ellie. Or Lyric.
You've been busy, you were on last night too.
He was talking about that. He had a busy day.
All right.
Are we ready?
We're ready.
We just have 2 items on the agenda, I think, today, and Steve's just wanted to be here too in case you had any questions. We have 2 new streets, well, I'll call them that, or roads, that the county or the fiscal court is being requested to accept as county roads for county maintenance and be added to our county road system. The first one is actually just a cul-de-sac, which is an extension of Lakewood Drive in Old Bridge subdivision.
I'll make that motion, we approve it.
And the length of it, which needs to be sure we get in the minutes, the length is 120 feet, 120 linear feet, because we'll send that on to the mapping folks later on, add the map. Okay?
120 feet. I'll
120
make that
feet.
motion, we approve.
Motion to approve the cul-de-sac at Lakewood Drive is made by Magistrate Cullen, seconded by Magistrate Gay. Questions, comments, discussion?
Does this, Mr. Hunter, is this, they've been blacktopped and sidewalks and everything done that's supposed to be done?
No sidewalks.
No sidewalks required?
Sidewalks were considered, but that section of street has no sidewalks.
So it would have been,
And this is just the terminus of an existing street, so the developer could have done a hammerhead or cul-de-sac. He agreed to do a cul-de-sac, and it's gated at the back, and we waived the sidewalk requirement because there's no sidewalks to it.
So the only thing, the county is gonna be required is to maintain this
Just the ball,
street.
just the ball.
just the ball.
You already maintained the street, yeah. You've already got the street.
What if they come back and want sidewalks?
That's up to the developer, that's up to the developer, because we don't do sidewalks anyway.
We don't.
I know we don't, but.
We don't maintain them either, but, we really haven't approached that
Well,
subject.
that's up to the individual then.
We don't scrape them, do we?
It would fall back to
We don't
the
scrape-
developer.
Oh, yeah.
It'd fall back to the developer.
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
solve the question.
All right, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you for that. Next
All
one.
right. The second request, and I did ask Jody Sharp to submit a letter, and we need to review our
You got it in there.
administrative code for sure to find out. We'll look at our, we need to be sure we have a definite procedure in place, which I'm not sure we have yet. But anyway, Mr. Sharp is requesting that we take over what turns out to be 750 feet of Patrum, P-A-T-R-U-M, Patrum Sisters Way. And also, there's 260 feet of Max Cabinets Road that was extended beyond what we took over before. So,
Hunt Farm Section 4.
yeah. So there's two sections of street there that are being requested that we take over.
State that again.
Okay. 750 linear feet of Patrum, P-A-T-R-U-M.
Probably Patron, isn't it?
It could be Patrum Sisters, 2 words, Way. And then 260 feet of Max, M-A-X, Cabnes, C-A-V-N-E-S, Road.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion made by Magistrate Cullen and seconded by Magistrate Gay to approve the acceptance of those roads at Hunt Farm subdivision in section 4. Is there any other question or discussion? Comment? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carried. Gentlemen?
We are pretty far along now on the update of the.
Update on the new standard.
Standards, and I think we're to the point of scheduling another meeting with the developers.
We got a large committee that's, we got a big committee of, what, dozen or
Yeah.
better? It's developers, surveyors, engineers, Dwayne, me, Josh from the city. So it's a mix of government and private, and we're working through the standards. And then we have a smaller group of just engineers that we've been working through real technical issues, and we've met
Several times.
probably 15 times
Yeah.
or better.
Yeah.
We're gonna meet again before Thanksgiving. We're pretty close to getting it done. Where we're at are sidewalks. The city wants to go with wider sidewalks and street trees. We're talking about some flexible options, and the developers have been talking to us about in lieu of options. So we're down to those kind of details to exactly what would be required when it comes to pedestrian connections, street trees, sidewalks, curb gutters.
You expect to wrap it all up by Thanksgiving?
2023? Did
No.
you hear the 15 meeting part?
No.
It just keeps going in circle. We're gonna have to cut it off. Dwayne, I think we're in a pretty good place.
Yeah.
But we're gonna have one more big meeting, see where it lands. I suspect we'll have a couple more. I'm good with the document. You
Yeah,
are too at this point.
I think we're probably, what, maybe 4 months out of
What,
April?
my question is, why do you have so many people, meet? Because there's no
Well,
way
well,
that
here's the
many
thing.
people are gonna agree.
Well, here's the thing. It started with just me, Josh Morgan, city engineer, and Dwayne looking.
There you go,
See?
been enough.
Okay, but here's the thing. We're not out building these streets. We're not designing subdivisions. We're not developers. We don't know what the real trends are, what the market bears, how these costs work. And so getting these real developers in the room and talking about what they see works in the subdivision setting, street lights, street trees, sidewalk widths, curb gutter, roll curb versus box curb, all these things we wanted to get their input. Then you bring the engineers in and say, here's the cost. Because if we go to wider streets or narrower streets or different curbing, there's cost associated with that. So we brought Kendall Wise and AGE and Nathan King and all the PEs sat in the room and talked about the nuts and bolts of, because the big cost, Phil, is we had an 8, 2, and 1 standard, and we were deviating from that fairly substantially, what I'll call a thicker road. So,
Yeah, I'm with.
so it helped us to get.
Where's
real
this
work.
located, really?
What?
Where's the location of this?
What's that?
There's no location.
I'm sorry?
There's the,
It
this,
just.
this is a group.
Visioning.
Just a group
This is-
to talk about.
Yeah.
This is changing the rules.
And they've been
countywide.
very, and they've been
Okay, I
very,
see.
they've been very appreciative of being involved with this
Yeah.
process. They really have. I mean,
Yes, they do.
he's received some
So you
wonderful.
think you're making progress?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Getting
The
close to
chapter-
wrapping it up.
The chapters are done. Chapter 3 is getting a minor tweak. 5 and 6 are brand new. We've got a brand new inspection process we never had. We're down to specifically what are we going to do about sidewalks, street trees, and some of the curb and gutter standards. That's
How does
what's
all this
left.
dovetail into Magistrate Shorts and my issues on that meeting we had so many months ago at the fire station when we're talking about some of the, not at all?
No.
Because we've got to get back to that sometime too.
That issue is about how we develop on narrow county roads that are existing. These standards are when we're building new subdivisions and new streets, where we make the developer bond it, build it, and then turn it over to the county. Those are two
Well, I know
different issues.
Magistrate Short and I both have issues with our substandard roads, and we've got to get back to that discussion sometime.
Where we left that was you all were gonna give us some direction, whether you wanted to amend the zoning ordinance, try to put something in the subregs, push it in front of a bonding process in front of the building permit. If you remember, we gave you 4 or 5 options,
Yeah.
and you guys were gonna give us direction, what document that would land in.
Judge, I'd like to get that back on the table sometime.
Yeah. The only thing that we have addressed, it's fairly insignificant, but we have
Big.
addressed the hydrant
Yes,
location
and-
requirement.
Right.
Because I thought that was in the regs and it's not, and so we have made a recommendation on that. So that any kind of development will require hydrants.
Correct.
Now, hydrants will be fill points, not fire hydrants like you see here
I
in the
understand.
city on the corner. They would be fill points for our shuttling process of our county fire department. Okay? But still, that would be a requirement. And so we have inserted that, so that's at least one thing. But
And to the credit of Earl and the city, they are really addressing that out in Perryville Road with the new water line going in.
And y'all get a lot of, I know you get a lot of calls on Chevy Green.
Yeah, I've Bunch. We had some yesterday.
I drive a school bus out there, that road coming out on that one lane, Inman.
On the southern.
Yeah, I almost have to go up on the sidewalk to keep from hitting a big hole.
So that section of road where.
No, the city don't wanna take it over.
It never was built to a standard. It was never accepted by the city.
Okay, I
So
know
that, so that's a no man's land
Is
road.
that the one that comes out on 127?
Right by the
Yeah.
church.
Yeah.
And we're
It's awful.
Well, a gentleman's building some townhomes there right now.
Yeah, he is.
And he's agreed to pave that section of road up to his driveway. And the city of Junction City said they will accept it. But he's not paving it all the way up to the first road. He's just paving to his driveway. That was
Okay, so he's paving to 120, the
from 127 to the driveway of
Well,
that.
that would help tremendously.
And then the
right
next
there.
section really serves the church and the
Yeah,
neighbors,
right,
really.
right.
But that has never been accepted, and then Shelby Green in the back, section 3, was never accepted by the city of Junction City either, because it was never built to any standard.
You're right.
So
it's not.
they still belong to Mr. Hensley. Those are actually private streets back there.
Well, I get calls on that all the time, but we, if we're gonna do anything about it, and I said, well, the county has we cannot do anything about it because it belongs to the city and the engineer.
And the city of Junction is taking the position they're not going to accept those streets till they're retrofitted to meet some standard, and then they'd consider.
I don't see how they can even do that now, do you?
Is, Mr. Hensley still developing on back? I know.
Section 3 has been platted, sold, and is being built out. He sold all the lots.
2 houses have been built right now, plus that complex.
So the plan is when section 4 comes in, if there's another section, that we would do what we can, because it'll have to be built to our new standards, that we would make an attempt to negotiate some kind of fix on section 3, and the city might take them all at one time. That's kind of, but those attorneys are working through that.
I wonder if the people that buy those houses or build them realize that the county and the city of Junction no part of it.
I had a couple.
City Junction, when they take it over, they're responsible for it.
No, I literally had a couple come in.
No, not like it is now then.
What's today, Tuesday? Last Friday, Friday, a couple came in and just had a house built, and wanted to understand why those weren't city of Junction City streets. They were in the city limits, but why they're not streets. And I had explained to them why that section 3 was never bonded or built or accepted. And they said, so you're telling us those aren't city streets? I said, no, they belong to the developer, and there's not storm infrastructure in, drainage has never been put in section 3. It's got different curb, different signs, different pavement widths, and but it's pretty close to the standards, it just deviates in a few areas. But the city can't accept it until they come to some agreement on that.
Well, I got some clarity on it now, so it might help out.
It's confusing.
Appreciate you guys being here
All right,
today.
see you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you.
All right, send Bill in if he's out there.
You're next.
Bill's out there.
Morning, gentlemen. I'm here to move for a motion to move forward with the purchase of the iPads for the fiscal court for their business and such that we might discuss.
Second.
All right, motion, do we have any costs associated with it?
Yes, you have a $99 per unit cost up front, and then roughly $40 per unit.
40 per month per unit.
Per month for cellular service.
And this will terminate this part of the process.
So come back on that again, it's what now?
If you go to tab 6, it's $3,444 a year.
Per person?
No.
For everybody.
County.
So I can't use mine, that's what you're saying.
Master Cullen, that is not my call, that is the court's call. However, as your IT director, I cannot recommend that move. In the event of open records request,
It would be.
That would just-
Your whole personal would be subject to that process.
so I'm, with what I plan to do with these is with your email addresses that have just gotten done, and after I switch the emails over, we have just been approved by the .gov people for BoyleCountyKY.gov. I got that approval right after I switched over to the Google Mail. That was my first email. So our new website will be launched as BoyleCountyKY.gov.
Right. At what date?
Right now, I think the tentative date is January the 22nd.
January 22nd.
So what we
Right.
did online, when you sent it out, it's still all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That was just part of the process to step to hopefully make that move to .gov a little smoother and easier. Because now that I have control of the emails, I can add aliases and stuff, and I think that will just be a lot smoother transition. But I plan to set the iPads up with your emails, and can even at some point, once we get comfortable with them, could put Ring Central to where constituents could call and leave you messages on your iPad.
No.
Bill, you didn't mention in your email the phone use. You and I talked about the phone use that comes with this, which is just fantastic, because Phil and I won't have 8 drop calls in 20 minutes on AT&T with this, because it's a separate system.
Well, now
correct?
this is just data service.
I thought you had mentioned when we talked that there'd be
If we went to and used the Ring Central app on there, you could probably use that as a phone service
Additional
on that.
cost?
No. Well, $9 a month for an account, but with Ring Central.
And then related to that, and I think we need our counselor's advice on this. It could be handy to use this for our own private use as well. What's the ethical and what's the cost situation on that? I think you said the cost is nil.
There is no cost difference on how it's used. The question would be
Same reason why we would probably recommend considering not use your personal items on there for open records. Request that it maintain official use only kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's wise.
Well, I don't think we should use it for personal use at all.
I don't either.
But that
My
would
only
be, that
consideration was
basically
if there's
would
no
be a
cost.
policy decision by the court.
Yeah.
You know, right now, I think in our general policies about electronic equipment and stuff like that, of course, you know, as we all know, folks get personal emails on their email account here and stuff like that. So that, again, is a decision you all would have to make on how that's used and whatnot. You know, occasional to go out and see something that you might need personally or whatever on a website, that's fine. Obviously, got to always be careful of open record requests, because all that surfing history and all that would be subject to that
Well, now,
request.
surfing, you need to be able to go to Google and search those sites that are pertinent to you being able to do your job more efficiently, okay?
Absolutely.
All right.
I say this halfway seriously, halfway facetiously with our state championship football team and the ability to watch a game on there. I'd like to declare that as county use.
Again, the data service is unlimited, so it's not like that the county would incur any more expense should you decide to
do that.
to do that. And I personally, as your IT director, don't see a real issue with that. That is
I don't
a
either.
policy thing that the court would have to decide on.
Thank you.
Come in the fiscal courtroom and do it.
So, can I say that all training for technical idiots like me is included in any pricing here?
Yes, sir. That will be provided by Judge Executive Howard Hunt.
Or you're gonna have to, what you call hand feeding, that's what we're calling insurance.
Yeah,
business.
yeah.
I will set up all the buttons
Okay. I'll be
so
with
that you can
all the way.
take care of it. Now, this is strictly for the unit alone. If there were accessories such as the ones like Magistrate Cullen has with his, that would cost extra and would go through the PO process through the courts.
Yeah. So, we have a motion, we do have a motion, right?
And a second from Magistrate Gay.
When will we receive these?
Turnaround time on them have been around 10 days. So
Really?
I can get them in 10 days and hopefully have them set up in 2 or 3 days, so a couple of weeks.
What I would like to
won't be
request of
available
you,
till
Bill,
this
after
next
this
quarter.
vote
Yes,
is
sir.
taken on the things, is to get us a group price on the stands with the keyboard for ease of use, for everybody. If that, just so we know what that price might be. Something like what he's using there.
Just grab a Logitech one. Don't do the Apple one. It's way too expensive.
The Logitech one, I think that I've actually purchased one of those for a family member, and I think they ran $149 a piece.
Oh, really?
Well, it's a full-blown Bluetooth Logitech keyboard with a actual touchpad that works with the iPad as well.
I think it's.
Which
You don't need all that. You can. I'll find you
Yeah.
one.
I mean, there's several different versions out there. The Logitech one was the one on the Apple site. So
We just have a stand, the simple stand, put the pad on.
Yeah.
It's also a protective carry case.
Yeah, they make one, actually, I think, we got some for the counselor, that were really nice, that were kind of like a portfolio that had the wireless keyboards with them and stuff for your iPads that were, they weren't that crazy either. I mean, they weren't.
I think I just went on like Amazon and.
Yeah, they were
got 'em for
30 or 40 bucks, I thought.
And remind me, Julie and Missy, it's our intent, although this has been a tremendous move forward with the notebooks that we get, we're gonna try to go paperless.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Basically, every document that
Saves
you
a lot of
have would
work.
be in a PDF or some
A lot
fashion.
of time, a lot of copy, and it save a lot of time.
And a lot of trees.
Save a lot of
Yeah,
money.
one of the things that will happen with the iPad is we're going to have with our new webmail, we have a lot of space out on Google Drive, and we'll dedicate a drive to the magistrates to put your documents out there, and then everybody will have access to the same documents.
Good step forward. So we have a motion.
And one
seconded.
more clarification, that does mean that the keyboard becomes essential because we can change documents, everybody can see them with keyboard.
That would be between you and Missy on how much editing you can do with that sort of stuff.
I got a Please turn his off.
Are those iPads newer than what I've got then?
They're a Generation 8, and I don't remember which one you had.
I mean, were you capable of using your pen? And
Yes.
Can you add one for me? And I mean, I don't care to just pay.
Oh, absolutely.
Out of my phone.
Okay.
Well, we can even set it up on a separate one. I mean, that's. These are run through our FirstNet people. So
Sometimes when I'm like trying to use the internet here, I'm borrowing from the sheriff and it doesn't always work. And
right. No, this would be
FirstNet would correct all that, so you'd be dedicated.
Yeah. We can set it up just strictly for your account, sir.
And the treasurer one, I mean, they'll need one. Because if we're doing away with these, then they'll have to be able to have the documents at
Access
court.
to the documents.
Yeah, I think that's a
put the
pertinent
documents in.
request. So we can amend the request to include, the court as we know it and those supporting elements to the court.
So
directly.
moved.
Second.
Okay,
Physical court.
yes. All right, we've had a lot of discussion on it. We'll call for the question, and all those in favor of the motion to go paperless with this, IT, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, and the motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, ladies.
Thank you.
Welcome, Treasurer Landon.
Mike Rogers, please, sir.
John, thank you. I know you said that for my benefit.
Maybe there's somebody else in that category. I don't know, but I know I'm in there.
Oh, no, not like I am.
I warned you,
I
he's
got
just
my
gonna have
wife home.
4 times as many business cards available.
All right, Director Rogers, welcome.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning.
Morning, new county treasurer. Met her the other day at the conference. It's good to see her here.
In court.
The first thing is not on the agenda, but I talked to the judge and our EMS committee this morning. We're short some people, so I want to ask if the court will entertain a motion to hire Billy Crockett. He's a paramedic. He's been one I've been trying to recruit for probably since April, actually. So his pay would be $19.17, effective immediately. He's a paramedic.
Paramedic, good.
I'll make that motion.
Just, let's see, I had something I wanted to ask.
I'll second it.
Okay, a motion made by Magistrate Cullen to approve the hire and seconded by Magistrate K. Wood. This is a recommendation of the committee this morning. Yes. And the reason the committee collectively decided to do that with my blessing is because of the critical nature of the job. When we're down one, we need somebody that is qualified as quick as we can in a life-saving role. And that's the reason that,
Actually,
What have you had him doing? He's been on the force for a while, right?
No, he's not.
He's just coming straight to you? Where's he coming from?
Somerset, Pulaski County.
Somerset, Pulaski County.
He's coming for the 12-hour shift.
He's coming for the 12-hour shift, and he has met all the criteria for employment that the court has established with regard to background investigations and so on.
Okay. So you know him well, the
Yeah.
drug test and all this. and
He actually did his paramedic internship with us.
Oh, he
So,
did?
and he took several of our classes that we've offered as far as tactical classes and things. So.
And 12-hour shift is the main reason he wants to come.
Yes, sir.
Good. Okay, if there are not any further questions, all those in favor of this hire signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign?
What's your start date?
Immediately.
Immediately.
Immediately?
$15 hour.
The next thing on the agenda item, is just to post a captain's position, by the job description that is available to be promoted for that, eligible for that. But we want to go ahead and post the position, follow the procedure. So would be to, post the position, run it for 14 days, and then.
I'll make that motion as well.
Second it.
All right, motion, made by Magistrate McCoy, seconded by Magistrate Short to post, and proceed with the process of, promotion within EMS. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Unanimous.
Thank you. Last thing on the item is for job description for the medical director. So we've been working on this for a long time. Our cost for liability insurance, and that's in the contract with our medical director, we have to provide that insurance. It has went up year after year. I think my first year was it was less than 5,000, and then this year I think we're looking at around 15,000. So Dr. Grant was able to get his insurance to cover the medical part of his medical directorship, and then we'll hire him as a part-time employee, and then KCO will cover the administrative side of his job description. So
Committee recommended this motion. So,
Once again, how much we paying him?
15,000 a year
15,000
annually.
a year. Lucky to get him that price.
Yeah, we are.
He makes house calls for any of the fiscal court.
And this is this move is a cost saving to the county. And it is in total, agreement with, the provider of these services.
All right.
Need a
Okay.
motion.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Okay, motion to approve
Second.
the job description and Magistrate Sevens and seconded by Magistrate Short. Oh, who did? You did? Okay, you seconded. I looked at him and I heard him say it and I didn't see you do it first. Okay, my apologies. My apologies. All right.
I'm gonna get us out of here before 10 o'clock tomorrow.
10 o'clock tomorrow. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you for that.
That's all I have. Thank you.
All
Appreciate
right,
it.
thank you, Director.
Thanks, sir.
Good day, buddy.
Thank you.
Angie's next.
Thank you,
No,
sir.
we're posting.
You brought me some cup.
It's empty. You got anything to fill it up with?
Been there too
I
long.
don't think it's gonna stay up there, is it?
I just before you leave today, you got my office.
Okay.
More paperwork.
Thank you.
We're gonna
Well,
have to have this when we.
I'm sorry, I got the last of it this morning.
It's approving the process.
Just in case. Just in case.
That's the mulchers.
I'll let you three share that.
Thank you,
Because I
ma'am.
don't think I got enough copies anyway.
thank you, man.
Okay. I have a truck, one of two that's, it's been broke down, giving me problems. I took it to Stuart Powell and, thought it was fixed. It's in your bills. It was 2,400 something, but when we got it back, it still wasn't right. There's still something. They think it's a transmission. So we've got 3 quotes there for the transmission.
But I do have a quote here. One gentleman seems to think it might be the fuel pump and not the transmission.
There's a big difference in cost.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference in cost. And my thought, and I didn't know that till this morning.
Okay.
You know, that's when I got the last quote was this morning. And you know, my thought is to, well, let's try the fuel pump. But mind you, we've already got $2,400
This is
in
in
it.
addition to the 24 that's already been invested in the truck.
Yeah, this is addition. This ain't,
Well, if they didn't fix it, we have to pay them?
well, it didn't solve the whole problem. I'm not saying, because I had the men at the road department hook it up on their little, whatever you call it.
Yeah,
I'm not a
your
mechanic.
diagnostic
If I was a
computer.
mechanic, I wouldn't have this problem, but,
Yeah.
and basically they fixed with, what was, but it still didn't stop it, totally. It helped it, but it didn't stop the problem. So they kept it and seemed to think it's transmission. Danville Fleet seems to think it's transmission, but I have this other person here that just isn't too sure about that.
So what is it gonna cost to get him to check it?
Well, you have it in there. It's he's give both prices. There's the price of the fuel pump in there, but he went ahead and done the transmission, but he's higher on the transmission part than the other ones. So, and on Stuart Powell, you will see that they have a new and used, because it is a Ford, so they probably, I guess, can do that. I'm to the point I don't know what to do. It's a 2010 truck. So, do we want to? But I'm at a loss right now because we don't have a vehicle and we're.
Diminishing marginal utility.
I just don't know. I'm leaving it all up to you. I don't know what to do. I need a vehicle. We all know that, but they're hard to come by. Seems like.
They are hard to come by.
They are. We've asked for on the lot. You got 2016, you got 2018. So.
Does it sound like it would be reasonable at this point, based on this information before us, that we allow that one potential vendor to R&R, repair or replace the fuel pump?
And just to
if that's
see,
it? And let them do that before we move forward with any kind of transmission
I think that'd be a good recommendation.
repair?
I think that'd be a good recommendation, Judge.
What does anybody else?
Then after that, then what?
Well, then with the caveat that if the transmission does need to get replaced, we allow it. 'Cause is that what I'm seeing on this total for Danville Fleet? It's got so it looks like the top is, well, no, that's transmission. Which one's the?
He's much higher.
Yeah,
on
the Danville,
transmission.
if that's the whole transmission, Stuart Powell is just transmission, and you got a new and used price. See at the bottom here, they put for new, and then there's used on the Stuart Powell.
So are the
But now this
diamonds-
other place on Lebanon Road, this Owen Chevrolet, he went ahead and give us the quote for the transmission. But he
Well,
says
it's like
he just
this.
seems to think it. He said
If you
he's
fix-
not totally
put the
for sure we need
transmission in,
one.
and the fuel pump's still bad, you still gotta put a fuel pump in it.
I think we're
So
gonna.
why don't you just check with fuel
right
pump
now.
first and then go that way? I'm with you on that.
I would have done that if I knowed it before this morning. I thought, well, let's just go ahead. But then,
Breaking news.
but for 2010, vehicle, and do we want to? If that don't work, do we want to put that much money into something?
It's
That's
got 110,000 miles on it.
And that's
That
and
ain't
that's
no
hard
miles for a
miles. I
diesel.
mean, that's usually
Ain't no
my
miles for a
litter
diesel.
pickup, truck, and
It's a diesel, ain't it?
No.
Oh, it's gas, okay. Well, it's still in miles.
Well, she said it's hard miles too.
It's pulling a lot of
Describe
weight.
hard
yeah,
miles.
it's pulled a lot of weight and miles, and so
Like my belt right now, it's pulling a lot of weight.
Anybody have any other recommendations to approach?
I agree with
I mean, I'm in desperate need of something to do, something I can.
Way out.
Well, if I can find one, I can't find one. The only one that I found in Fleet was down in Somerset, and it ended up being a 3500, and it was a diesel, and it was in the 40s, and that was state
On
contract
your way
price.
out,
So.
if there's keys in one of those Dodges out there, take it with you.
He's not gonna let that go.
Phil, I'm not gonna comment on that. I'll let just.
I think what we need to do, I'm
If
the judge, I think we need to fix the fuel pump.
And then wait and then see what
And
goes
what
from
I
there.
like is,
That was my theory this
you
morning,
need a-
but you know.
You need a truck real bad,
I just hate to, you know, there's another thing, you know, the fuel pump itself's, what, 500, almost $600.
What I like to make a motion that we go with the fuel pump, and I'd like to add in the motion that if that doesn't fix it, and instead of you having to come back to the court, because you're gonna need a truck, that the judge is authorized to advise you what to do with the truck.
Well, I would, at that point, if the fuel pump doesn't fix it and the vendor's willing to do that at the quoted price, I would consider going with the lowest bid that you have on the transmission repair, to go with replacing the R&R in the transmission.
Is this the dually that you're talking about?
No.
You
The
talking about
Dually's the newest truck I
I'm
have.
talking about Danville Fleet.
It's a 2018, I
No,
believe,
no,
2016, 2018.
That's the lowest price one, if I'm reading it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dan was high on the transmission.
So, is that,
Well, are you talking about going with the used one from?
It looks like to me that it's Owen Chevrolet for the fuel pump, and then Danville.
Yeah, they're the
Fleet,
ones that seem to think that
and then
it might
Danville
not be the
Fleet
transmission.
For the transmission.
what?
Well, now there's two different prices
But why?
on. Let's see. Yeah,
That says
basically.
labor down there. If you add the two together, the bottom's at, the price at the bottom is more than Stuart Powell's by, what? Roughly $300 bucks.
Mhm.
Well,
That's
you're adding the
used.
fuel pump in on this quote here.
Well, Stuart Powell's got the use for $36.12, and
You
then
add
they wants to pay $100 on the
final quote.
freight, and
So what is Danville Fleets? Is it not used? It's
it's a transmission, new transmission.
It comes with a 3-year warranty.
3-year warranty, you have to wear the truck out till then.
well, now, if this transmission from Powell is not warranted, I would agree with that assessment,
Well, it says 12 months part and labor.
okay?
If you see right up here under little right now, it's got 12
Well,
months
this is
part and
3-year
labor.
warranty.
Yep, it is.
If you're gonna put the transmission in, you're better off paying a little bit more for the warranty.
That's right.
So,
I'll make a motion, we just put the fuel pump in right now.
And
okay,
then take it from there.
Yeah.
I like Phil's idea though of the,
to move forward on, the authority to go with
yes.
the repair of the transmission.
Is
or
that
the
in your
replacement.
motion?
Well, we'll
Ronnie?
get
Based
that
on
and
the
see if
best
it works,
and-
and if
based on
not,
the
then
best
I'll
and
get
lowest
back up
bid.
with
Yeah,
you and.
based
we'll
on the
take it from
best
there.
and lowest bid, which apparently, you're right, is Danville Fleet, so.
Let me get it to her quicker. So.
Is it all right to come back to the committee with the transmission?
Do
Well,
what?
Bill-
Just to come back with the committee on whether to go ahead and purchase the transmission?
Phil's
Well, I
turn,
think
that
the
loose to the
motion is
judge.
authorizing that lowest and best bid,
Right.
if the fuel pump doesn't fix, the fuel
Okay,
pump would be,
so we're gonna leave it up to you.
Yeah.
that's the court's decision.
Well, that's what his motion is.
Well,
I'll
you know, I
second
just
that
wanna make
motion.
sure that you wanna put that cut, cause we've already put $2,500 in it,
Yeah.
already.
You're
That's
you're
without
reaching the-
any of this.
You're reaching the potential,
That's just what I
you're
wanna
not
make you
there,
aware
but
of.
you're getting close to the
Yeah.
potential value of the
I
vehicle.
mean, because it's, like I
It's
said,
not
it's a
gonna take
2010
no-
with
we
hard
won't
miles
make
on
much.
it.
And I agree with what you're saying, but under
We
the
gotta fix
current,
it now.
as we're.
Oh, I know.
Of buying a truck.
We can't find a
it's,
truck
you
to
know,
buy.
okay, we're putting maybe $5,000 into this more versus buying a $40,000, $50,000 vehicle, so. Yeah, I get what you're saying, and it's, how long do you keep doing that?
Yeah.
But she needs it right now, not
Yeah.
not
But yeah,
3
you know, the
months
bad
out.
part is I'm working with one, and You know, you got people, you know, like the courthouse, you know, for the past 2 Fridays has had stuff piled up. There's nothing I can do. You know, I have other customers that I need to serve, you know, because we need to keep them, that industry and stuff like that going. So I've sort of had to put some on the back burner and say, hey, we'll get you here in a day or two. And Missy knows that because we've had that discussion.
Well, I'll second his motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Magistrate Sammons, and everybody knows what the motion is, and it's been seconded by Magistrate Short. Any further discussion, we'll keep the ball moving, so. If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The motion carries.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Looks like,
You want Susanna next?
I don't know about that.
yeah, come on in here, Miss Susanna. We want to see your smiling face. You got a mask on. There you go.
Hey, I'm a habit
Susanna
person.
from Havana.
All right, get up here. Okay, all right, good morning.
Good morning.
We're gonna tag team this report this morning. I told you almost a year ago, I guess it'll be a year in February, that we would report to you periodically about how it's working with collections and tax admin. And you also said that you didn't spend enough attention, give enough attention to tax admin. So we thought we'd share some information with you. So if you'll look at the colored chart, I thought it would be interesting to compare this past quarter plus October and just see where we are on tax collection for the last 3 years. I thought the 3-year window.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's this one right here. It's got colored bars.
The pretty one.
Yes, yes. And I told them when they make copies, make it in color because it doesn't do us justice in black and white.
Because I've got a black and white, and I'm like, Jackie, I can't figure that one out.
Last year I told you that tax collection was up, and just a snapshot at 1 quarter, you can see the numbers, how they're going across, and positive numbers is 20, 21, 22 is up. So I thought that would be just a great snapshot for you to see where we are on tax collection. And I wish I had brought the pictures of stacks of mail that come into that office, and I think they were 2 piles about this high, and I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah, I just told somebody on the phone like 2.5 feet.
Yeah.
I'll get to your refund one
Yeah.
day.
And these are mostly what we call 0 returns.
And carry forwards.
Yeah, so there's a lot of paperwork still to do that doesn't garnish us any revenue per se. We're
And
gonna talk-
auditing, which
and
I'm
sh-
doing now.
Yeah,
Yep.
she is a great auditor of the returns, so we do get somebody to look through them, do the math, look back and
And
make
see if
sure
they have.
make sure we're capturing, and that was the important thing about restructuring, was to free her up so that she could do some of those duties that we didn't have time for.
So these numbers, which year reflects that extra bump that we got due to the lack of collection from before?
That would be partially 2021, the 7
million.
Yeah, yeah. So talking about collections, let's just talk about that for a minute. To date, since last February, we've collected $432,355 of past due revenue. So we're inching close to that $500,000 mark, which is my goal to get through February. And I will say that Susanna collected in 1 week over $5,000 from 2 people. So it is a team effort. Jackie's been helping.
It's phone calls and it's time.
Yeah.
It's basic.
But it sounds like it's amazing what
time.
can happen when your hands
If
aren't
you
tied
have time.
by somebody that's micromanaging you.
If you have
When
time.
it's really not their job
Yeah.
to do it. It's your job to do tax admin. Other people that were here previously that kind of tied your hands, now that you can do this, you're actually making a huge dent in the problem that we had.
And we can move forward once my girl comes back, and our finance responsibilities that's on Shannon and I, we're just kind of moving around to all departments and doing other
We've
jobs.
been short 2 people.
And
Jackie
yeah.
and
That's
Mariah.
why September looks so bad, because
Hey, microphone.
yeah. Oh.
What's the situation with Myra? When's she coming back? And when is Jackie coming back to you? When you gonna turn her loose, turn her treasurer loose for yourself?
Well, I think Mariah told me when I talked to her that it looked like her first day back was gonna be the week of Christmas, and so that's what we're shooting for. Yeah, yeah. And we haven't had Jackie in tax admin either, so, and the office was closed a couple weeks with COVID.
Yeah, and I just want to say from the end of July to, through October, Susanna and Shannon helping, I mean, she's busted it to get this money in, so.
Yeah.
A mess.
Yes, but
Susanna, you mentioned two people, 5,000, or why was that situation?
You have, people that send in their returns on the wrong form. The third-party payrolls will calculate it wrong. They will pay Danville more or Boyle County more, or, you have to investigate each return as you are looking at them. If they are not equal, then you have to see why they're not. Then you have to put that back until you're finished. Then you send that bill, and that's why we have the 30, 60, 90, and.
So it's just an honest mistake, would you say, or
yeah.
intentional?
Yeah, no,
Honest
it's
mistake.
not intentional.
Okay.
There are CPAs that, when you, as a business, and you're getting your packet in, a lot of people, they don't pay attention to their local taxes that's in there and says, you pay, because they'll say, well, I didn't know I had to pay locally.
Well, even if it's off, I mean, I know a few years back where I had issues with my business where my CPA had just Google searched the Boyle County tax form, and he printed out one that was an older form.
That had the wrong percentage. I saw that too.
Every time you Google it, I will ask people, I'll say, well, did you Google it? Yes. I don't know why, but that's the form that's in there.
I raised that question years ago.
I
I wonder how we can get that deleted so it's not confusing.
I guess
It's
we'll talk
very
to Bill. I was just gonna say.
Hopefully this new website will be able to have a lot
On the
more
website.
answers and information out there
I-
as well.
I do want to say there is an industry, any federal corporations or federal that employs people, they don't all take out the local taxes. So it falls upon us to go after that money, and there's some significant dollars that are owed to us. And one of those 5,000 was that. And Susanna works with them. She gives them agreements.
That's an internal issue we have to address.
Yes, it is. But
And
I
hope
just,
that's what the business license was going to do, but that's stalled, seems like. We don't have the business license out there, correct?
just for, what you all passed was just for county businesses. And there aren't enough businesses just in the county to even pay for the program.
So what did we do? Help my
You
memory.
voted not to charge an annual business license. You voted to do a one-time county only, which there aren't enough businesses to pay for that program.
So we're not gonna
In
do
the
it
county
all?
only.
We're not doing it at
So
all.
we haven't done anything. We haven't, well, with everything that's happened.
I've got an employer out there that asked me not long ago.
I do
Yeah.
too.
I've had people call too.
Well,
Now-
why don't we, I mean,
We could revisit it. I could bring that all back to you. There
I
may
would
be.
love to revisit it because I think the tax collection alone would pay for it. But all we have to do is simply, and I'm just talking out loud, but require people in the cities to also have a business license. But if they've paid one, they don't have to pay, like if they're in the city, they don't have to pay the
Right.
Danville and the Boyle County one, but they're required to have a business license.
Well, we work so close with Tiffany. I mean,
That's true.
everything that Tiffany gets, every business license she gets, we get it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Their
that was
account
the
numbers,
issue.
yeah.
That was the
I
issue because we
mean-
didn't want the redundancy.
Yeah, we
of-
didn't.
No,
it would be
that's
extra
why we
work
stopped
just
that.
it would be extra work just
Yeah,
to
it's
sort them
amazing.
out.
Are you telling
To my understanding that the thing we put out for, for everybody to pay, we changed that because we was gonna lose money instead of make money.
If you had to hire somebody there's not enough businesses
In the county only.
for that in the county only. Most of your income is in city, you know, so it's a
Cities.
city.
And we didn't know
Yeah.
that before we started this
No,
effort.
and you have your contractor license, that's for your, contractors or construction, which is a big thing that's going on out there right now.
Let me ask a
Dan,
very
I've got a-
specific
But sadly-
question about it then.
Well, one at a
I have,
time.
I have a constituent
bullshit.
who literally buys, rehabs houses and sells them to people of very moderate income. There's gonna be no impact on him until we make, future action, right?
What do you mean by that? Just as a
Whatever he's
business
doing now, he
license?
doesn't have anything more, to file.
He should register with the county, or if he's in the city, if he's not in the city,
in
he'll
the county.
register with the county.
And I think he is.
Well, then he will get with Rusty and pay a contractor's license.
I think he
And then at the end of the year, when he files his taxes, if he has made any profit in Boyle County, then he will turn in his profit return.
Okay, thank you.
So that's how that works.
Suzanne, this, yeah, I just had a question about, I'm concerned. The money comes into you, correct?
Mhm.
Okay, and then you turn it over to the county treasurer, is that right, or do you make the deposit yourself?
Oh, we do it all.
You do it all, you deposit and everything, and I'm assume that you make it on a daily basis, cause you don't wanna hold any money.
Like I've said a million times, I wish somebody would everybody just come and walk through the office, and I'll be glad to show you.
Well, the point I'm
The
trying,
mail,
the
yes.
point I'm trying to get
You
at,
try.
if there's not enough help with the money that's coming in, this court needs to hire enough people in that department to help.
I think with Jackie
We
going
had
back,
that, yeah.
I think with Jackie going back, that will be significant.
Will that take care of the problem?
Oh, it will. It'll get us rolling again. And no matter what, it's every quarter. Some quarters are heavier than others
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
have net
Well,
profits.
right now,
and
you
quarters.
got a big quarter coming
I
up.
have, well, in
in
this
January.
past quarter and this one
Yeah.
was your people that had filed extensions. So you had October 15th net profits coming in.
Right.
Which takes, what Laurent did was audit the returns and go, you have to take time. We're deciding that I'm gonna take time with this from now on and audit the return. We've talked to the city and I've talked to other counties and they do it in-house.
Well, I think they
So-
need to send Jackie back right away.
Well,
I mean, we've got
I wanna
to.
give them some time together. to get
Yeah,
this transition.
Yeah.
It's okay. I made it through last time.
Oh, yeah?
Got a little
Well,
knot
yeah.
on the arm, but it'll be all right.
She sees a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
got fourth quarter
But
and
these
year
numbers-
end coming in together.
Yeah. Oh, that's always bad.
That's
Oh, yeah.
always bad.
It is.
Gotta be.
It always is,
Yeah.
and that's why everything's piled up down there because there are zero returns that are piled up, and we can't run our non-filing or delinquent or any reporting until those are all in. Just like I just had a call about a refund. Yes, I received it, but I that's on the back burner. You're collecting and getting that money in and in the bank before you go to the next step, which is billing.
Cause my check hadn't gone through the bank yet.
It probably hasn't. There's about how many pallets
That's
of,
because he post-dated it, that's why.
yeah, yeah, I'm getting one together right now, so,
I mean,
that's
Jack-
what I'm down there
Jackie
doing.
only has something to say.
2 hands, and it's just, you can't really, even though everybody, if somebody helps open mail or if anybody does anything, it's not, it's just the process of,
Getting a deposit
yes,
together.
and
keying it
overseeing
in,
the returns,
and
making sure everything's correct, you've got the right taxpayer. There's a lot of things you really have to look at and study to make sure it's right.
Well, these numbers are incredible, and I'm glad to
Yes,
see
they
a
are.
positive turn in this. And we
During
keep
a
saying-
pandemic.
We keep saying this, but this team that's assembled here is a fantastic team.
Oh, I agree 1
I
million
wish
percent.
we had this team so many years ago. I just think if this had been implemented a long time ago, and y'all would have been able to do the jobs that you're hired to do, this county would not have suffered in many ways, and we could have provided so much more for the residents of Boyle County had things been done right for these
We're
While
trying to
going
get it
forward.
caught up.
I
We're
don't
trying to
wanna
get it caught
reflect,
up.
though,
We're- Yeah.
on other efforts
Right.
made before you were elected, correctly so. People tried before.
Yes.
So don't
Well,
degrade them, please.
Yeah.
I'm not,
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
agree.
going to degrade
I
everyone.
agree. I think we need to be careful there.
We have to walk a careful path. While I've got
These
you,
numbers
is
are-
there
these
any
numbers speak for
software out there
themselves,
that
so.
makes your job easier?
We're looking.
You looking, okay,
We're looking.
good, because
Right
I-
now, you can't run a 30, 60, 90-day aging, and
Yeah.
that's what we need. Because I think there's more money out there. It's who has time. I mean, I have a
Yeah.
spreadsheet of 7,000 businesses that are just city businesses that we're just slowly working through to
And
see if
that's
they're
not-
even registered with
yeah.
us.
Well.
And
some-
more coming in every.
Help you with
That's
this.
what we need. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You're telling me that there are 7,000 businesses in the city of Danville?
some of them are closed. I mean, this is their full registry. So I'm going through the ones that aren't open anymore. You cross those
Yeah.
off. But somebody needs to be going through that list and auditing it. And we found quite a number of businesses that are behind because of taking the city's list.
How much money did it, and this is off the wall question, but how much money did this cost us when Pittman Creek moves to Lincoln County?
I
What do
don't
you
know.
estimate, just roughly?
Well, in wage, that would, I mean, it's gonna cost us money, yes. But as somebody goes out, then you get more businesses coming in. And, you know, you have all that on Lebanon Road coming up, and, you know, we hope that, yeah.
The
So-
other thing,
Yeah.
Magistrate, to answer
Yeah.
that question is, we're not legally permitted to share information like that.
Okay, I understand.
It's, that's something that we have, the
Well,
three of
it's-
us, we're not allowed to talk about them.
Yeah.
It's
And
just,
so-
in my book, it's a
yeah.
situation that shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Well, and also, I do want to, on that, just make, and I don't know if everybody's aware
Okay.
of this or
Okay.
not, but Pittman
Okay.
Creek is leaving, is going to have part of their operation is going to remain
Yes.
there
Yeah,
on
I know
Lebanon
that,
Road.
yeah,
They're going to continue to service their Walmart
yeah.
Have you looked at the
out
building?
of, out of,
I've been
Yeah.
in there.
Have you looked at the building? It's empty.
no, I know, but
I don't know
they're,
how you clear out a whole building and then say we're still gonna do
no,
stuff.
they're,
You
that's
don't
what
take down
they're,
the shelves and everything.
that's what they're planning on doing. So they'll continue to service Walmart out of that building. I heard that.
Go
from
on
Mr.
Facebook,
Coffey
though. I'd
as
like to
well.
verify that because they have just had a huge grand opening over in Lincoln County. And that hurt to see that. That really hurt to see
Yeah,
that.
it should have been ours.
I think
No.
what I would like to do
So
is.
that is going to happen.
Damn.
In the not
Trust but verify.
distant future, I'd like to go over and meet with the ownership
Yeah,
of
well,
that
we-
and see what
well,
their
we
plans
did, but
are,
we-
if any at
We'll
all.
charge them
That
25,000.
Good
updated
building.
current, you know, here in Boyle County.
Yeah, no, that's the, yeah, so.
I will do that the next.
And just to clarify, I'm not sitting here trying to diminish what others have done. We've had a lot of good employees come through here. I just think certain people have tied their hands so that they can't do things to their full potential. And these numbers speak for themselves. And it kind of makes me sick that, you know, we can almost get $500,000 just by, you know, allowing people to spend the time
To
doing this
work,
work.
to work it.
And so, you know, it was, and I'm not saying I'm saying the first couple of years I was here, you know, you can see a real change in this court with what's happened here. So I'm grateful to all y'all for really caring this much about the county and the people in it. So because
Moving right along.
every dollar that's collected is one that we
Yep.
can do something as a service for the community.
Absolutely.
These girls are go-getters.
Yep, they are. The team that this court allowed to work together, the innovation and the collaboration has provided us with updated, you know,
They've just done a wonderful
Opportunities
job,
move
and I
forward.
tell you, I really appreciate you and Julie and Jackie and everybody, my buddy down here, Missy, for all y'all working together like
Yeah,
you
you
have.
just work together
as a
and keep it
team,
going.
Instead of, I have not
And-
heard
and
any
Shannon's
bickering
helped
and this
out.
and
Oh,
that.
Shannon?
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Mariah,
Thank
when
you.
she's been here in the past, so yeah, it's all a
Mariah,
team.
sweet
effort.
little
With-
gal
Yeah.
that done the
With what
job.
happened, this county could have gotten in a lot of trouble, could
Oh.
have crumbled. But
Yeah.
these ladies stepped up, along with General Hunt, and figured out a way to make it all happen, and they've been successful, which you normally don't get when somebody just kind of comes in and doesn't know things, you know, or only has half of a clue or a quarter of it. Half of their job was figuring out what other people did and how are we gonna fix it, and how are we gonna make it better, and that's what y'all have done.
Well,
And that
they-
was the point I was trying to make.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, specifically from the fourth district.
Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
Y'all have
Thank you.
anything else? Okay.
Thank you.
That it?
Susanna, good to
Welcome
see you.
to come down at any time.
There you go. You'll
We
take-
take-
we take
I'll put 'em to
volunteers.
work.
Let's put you to work.
You come down and work.
All right, next is Miss Shannon Green, and we're gonna talk about the
Holiday
schedule.
schedule.
All right.
I
Just
think we
kinda-
ought to close the rest of the month.
Sounds good to me.
right.
Just letting you all know that usually the Christmas holidays, we follow the state schedule, and they are taking December 23rd and 24th off for Christmas, and the December 30th and 31st off for the New Year's holiday.
I'll make the motion, we follow that schedule.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to follow the state schedule, which I think has been our standard rule in the past.
Yes.
We're gonna do it this year continually, so we have a motion to continue following the state, holiday schedule, and it's been made by Magistrate Coe and seconded by Magistrate Gay. Any questions or comments about that? Because it does impact when we decide we wanna try to do courts, particularly in December.
Well, that was gonna be my next question. We're scheduled to meet on the 23rd.
Let's get the motion passed, and we'll follow the state first. If there's no discussion on following the state, guidelines on holiday time, we'll move forward. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, and motion carries. Now, let's go talk about when court for November and December. I think November, we're probably okay.
November, well, we got the 23rd, which is Tuesday, 2 days right before Thanksgiving.
Yep.
A lot of people travel.
I'll be traveling that day, but it's not until after school lets out, so I'm fine to be here.
I'm good.
So-
Anybody fine on the second, November day? We'll just keep it Tuesday before Thursday and Friday off.
And then December, we're looking at the 14th and the 28th are court days.
Could we move it to the actual, I guess, technically, the second Tuesday of the month, which would be the 7th, and meet again on the 14th? It's only a 7-day separation.
So not have, I'm so sorry, say that again?
The 7th and the 14th of December.
For December's meetings?
Yeah.
And then we don't have anything,
But that's,
those last two,
no, well, I just throwing it as a consideration.
That's what we did last year.
We may need to have a special meeting to approve some bills later in the month, though.
We might.
'Cause I think you have to still pay some bills toward the end of the month,
Yeah.
so we'd have to have just a bill paying quick meeting for those that are available.
well, my Christmas present to y'all will be, I'll be out of town on the 28th, so.
It's in the mail, right?
So what's the court's pleasure for December?
About the 7th and the 21st.
What is the 21st? Is that a Tuesday?
Yeah, it's Tuesday.
That'd get your bills paid.
That would probably be late
Yeah.
enough to catch most everything.
Yeah, because there's 5 Tuesdays in November. So that actually works well. 7th and 21st.
The 7th and the 21st of December, y'all check that out on your.
That's your regular schedule anyway, so. Isn't it?
No,
We gotta have one of those, it's one of those
it would
months
be
where
the
you skip
28th.
a week.
So we're doing
14th
the
and
first the
28th.
third instead of the second and fourth.
We'll move it up by a week on each end. Front,
Okay.
the first one and the
Let's
second.
go that way.
Okay, 7th and 21st.
Yes.
That's all right.
Tell me what's the court's pleasure on that,
Works for me.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
okay?
Second.
All right, we have a motion to keep November what it is, and the motion is to move December's dates to the 7th and 21st of December for both court meetings in December.
I thought we were talking about moving it up to the 14th,
No, 21st would be better.
so we're not gonna do that, huh?
No, 7 and 21st for December, and the November stay what it is. And we have a motion by Magistrate Coe and seconded by Magistrate Gay. Now we can discuss it and we'll be ready to vote.
That's the regular dates anyway, it's
No,
December, isn't it?
really,
No, it isn't.
really would be
Isn't
the
it?
14th and 28th,
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
but.
that's fine with me.
Moving up a week on each,
On
front,
each one
first
of
one
them,
and the
since
second.
November had
Okay, that's great,
5 Tuesdays.
I'm for it.
I get to see you sooner than later.
Anybody else?
Are you gonna be here, Cullen? I wanna see him, but you gonna be gone?
Too late. I'll be here now.
Okay, you gonna be here. Oh, gosh.
Call the
All right.
question.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. You got that?
Got it.
Publication, thank you.
We have a,
Send us out a notice.
we have a
Yeah.
committee meeting, an EMS committee meeting on the 7th, so if we can make sure that gets
Publicized.
Yeah.
publicized.
Got that. EMS. Yeah.
We don't have any first year, do we?
This is probably a good point in time to,
February.
I want to recommend to the court that we consider something I think it would be, something that I would like to see in December, if the court, blesses it. What I would like to see is us have an event called the Jingle and Mingle, where all county employees could, partake in a potluck social opportunity out at the Boyle County Fire Department Station on Lebanon Road from between 11 and 1, 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. on that day.
On which day, Judge? 21st?
No, on the 16th of December, excuse me.
16th.
On the 16th of December.
On a Monday. Is it on Monday?
And just allow every employee to come through and participate and just have a relaxed, seasonal holiday,
Fiscal meeting that day.
gathering. What does the court think about that?
Like
Great
it.
For
idea.
discussion.
Are you Santa Claus?
No, there,
We might find somebody that could do that.
there. And we can develop what we want to do between now and then, if the court's in agreement to set that time aside for everybody. Jingle and mingle, just to bring people together on a happy holiday time.
I think I know we'll do a Keiko meeting that day, but that's fine. I'll see if I can't change it.
You might have some influence on when that meeting
You're the head guy now.
So it's
Okay.
gonna be potluck?
It will be
You're gonna
potluck.
put a list out what,
We will send it out to everybody.
that way you can check off what
Why
you're
not,
gonna bring.
why
if they
not,
want
good
to bring
idea,
something.
just an idea, why not the county furnish the meat and all the rest of us bring some kind of dish?
Sounds great.
I think that's a great idea.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion made to December 16th, jingle and mingle.
Shannon's
And
cooking.
then we will collectively, contribute to the purchase of meat for everybody. And it was seconded by Magistrate Cullen.
Yep, sounds great.
I said Magistrate Short made the motion.
If I kill a deer this weekend, I'll gladly donate my deer for the meat.
There you go.
Okay.
A lot of people don't like deer.
Be sure to annotate that on the little label in front of what you serve.
Do you want to cook
No, I don't.
turkey?
Put it in
I've seen him shoot
pot
more
with some
good.
beef and a meat onion, you won't know the difference.
Yeah, you will.
Any other discussion? December 16th, 11 to 1,
Fix it.
jingle and mingle.
Got that taste.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Sharon. And we got the holiday schedule, and that'll go out to everybody, all that. All right. Looks like next is our acting county treasurer outgoing, and Miss Jackie Richardson.
Okay, as my last duty, I was determined to get the fiscal year last year closed out so that Darlene did not have to deal with that. And I am glad to say that on Friday, I spent my morning doing that. I was on the phone with KVS. We had 2 issues. One was from July of 2020, and one was from May of 21. And we got those corrected, and we are balanced and closed out.
Hey.
I want to speak first to Jackie. Judge, I think, this gal stepped up to the plate. We're
Absolutely.
So proud of her, and, I know she's still gonna work with Darlene. The transition is made, and we're not getting just somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. I feel like Darlene's an experienced
Marlene.
person. What's her name?
Marlene.
Or Darlene.
Darlene.
Someone turn that name tag
Yeah.
over to them. There we go.
I've known her
We just
for
hired 2
several
new
years.
treasurers.
Darlene, okay. So we're gonna turn it over to Darlene.
Yep,
I'm
we're in
glad
good
that
hands.
Short knows what's going on.
That's why we team you guys up together.
I agree, Magistrate Saban. Good words, good comments. Thank you for that. Jackie, you got anything else to report? Well, thank you first and foremost
Thank you
for
so much.
You're welcome.
your assistance to the county in a time of transition and a certain degree of getting us through to a point where you just made a great accomplishment for the county, and we appreciate what you've done. So thank you for that. We'll go around the table and we'll, yes, sir.
Real quick, I do have an item that needs to be handled in executive session. It won't be very long, but I don't know when you want to do that. If you want to do it after committee reports or before.
Let's do it after committee reports. Okay.
Okay, no committee, but do you want to do the round
No,
robin?
this is district reports on the first one, yes.
Okay, yesterday, as your designated member of the EDP board, I received an email from the chair, and he's wanting us, EDA and EDP, to talk about what the status is. They're gonna have their executive committee meeting tomorrow. Judge, I guess you'll be at that executive committee. Judge, I guess you'll be at that executive committee meeting, but the chair is wanting essentially a status report on where EDA and EDP are, how we're gonna integrate, what we're gonna do, that sort of a thing. I didn't know this was gonna happen until I got that email yesterday. So, John, I guess we'll have to talk, and Judge, we better get with you too.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll learn more if you're able to make the meeting tomorrow. But that meeting is on the 17th, and I suppose you're going to be invited to be part of that meeting, the regular meeting of the EDP. Secondly, the judge and I are on the home stretch looking for dates for both Forkland and Perryville to have the next Pulse of the People. I've talked to both the head of the Forkland board and the mayor of Perryville. We're getting dates together, and we're going to try to get those in. Ideally, one in November and one in December. And the third, I would like to just make sure, so I've become very good friends with Jim Chandler, and I'd like to recommend that we adjourn in his father Paul's memory.
I agree with that recommendation, and I would like to add one to that if we may, but yes.
Thank you.
I agree with that.
That's all I have, sir.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, that was, actually, I had that on my list, and I was sure many would have that on their list to adjourn in Paul Chandler's memory. But I would also like to mention, and this may be on others' list as well, in the Hun families.
Yes, yes.
The loss of
His
James'
brother
Hun's
died.
brother Jerry, and obviously James Hun Senior's son. So.
Would it be acceptable to the court when we get to that point in our schedule or agenda today that we recognize the significance of more than one person to adjourn in honor of?
I think so.
I think it'd be right.
Okay. I just
Thank
wanted
you.
to cue the court on that.
Thank you.
I don't mean to dilute any one person's significance.
Yeah.
At all.
And I would also just, and again, want to thank and recognize our veterans in here. And then on November 11th, obviously it's Veterans Day, all of those that have served and continue to serve our country. So I want to make sure to recognize them. And as Jack said, having served really since the inception on the Veterans Day Committee, I hope we can next year get back to that great event.
I do too.
That great event that is, I think one of the shining days in our community each year.
It's my number one national observance day is Veterans Day. That's number one to me. Thank you. Anything else?
Jamey,
That's it.
I appreciate, I'm talking out of turn, but I appreciate your support for the veterans.
I do too, absolutely. It's in his family, it's in his blood.
Yes.
That's good.
Yes, so committee we met this morning with the EMS committee. Present were myself, Magistrate Kaywood, Dr. Grant, Director Rogers, General Hunt,
Mike Manley,
and then
and John.
and Manley, and then Major Wesley. Yes, thank you. We discussed hiring a full-time medic, which we did, and we also discussed the Dr. Grant contract. They gave us an update on run volume. Just in the last runs they made last month were 522 runs in a single month, which turns out to be about 17 runs a day. But they've said a couple times where they've actually, in a 24-hour period, they've had about 30 to 35 runs in a day. They did purchase some new lights to help them with safety. They're almost kind of like the body cameras that the officers are wearing, but you can have them where they strobe, and they've got flashing lights, so that way people definitely see them as they're on the side of the road or doing whatever they need to do. And then they had a truck report that EC6 has front end damage sustained from his accidents, and it's still at the body shop. And I'll go ahead and submit this for y'all's pleasure.
All right, entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
And that was your motion by Mr. Gomes, seconded by Mr. Kaywood on the EMS committee. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. John needs to sign that.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. District report?
I'm going to say that we're hoping to have probably knock out 3 of these Pulse of the Peoples here in the next several months. I've located 3 places, and I just need to get the formal yes on them. Okay. So I'm excited to get back out and hear.
I am too. I'm looking forward to that.
In the 4th district to talk. And
I encourage the rest of the court to start thinking about having it in your district.
And come out for everybody else's.
Yeah, I was gonna say, make sure you guys come out, because they will be advertised, so.
I don't know whether to have one or not. There's nobody there but the committee. They know if they got a question.
We'll help you advertise. How about that?
I appreciate it.
Okay.
We'll have one in January.
And then as I just want to, as Veterans Day comes up, I just want to thank all of you all and all the veterans that have given us the ability to sit here at this table and the freedom that we enjoy that a lot of times are taken for granted. And a lot of you have put in many years serving, in the military, but also serving, your countries in other ways. So thank you all very much. That's all I have.
Thank you. Counselor?
Crawford's House, I received an email recently from Natalie Bronner. She said there was a couple of things they wanted to change, which they changed, and I'm waiting signatures, so it's kind of on them at this point. I'm going to follow up again on that. Hopefully we'll get it signed and recorded very soon, our amendment and so forth. I want to thank all our veterans for their service, including my dad, who served in the Navy. If you ask him, he can't remember a lot of things, but he can tell you how long he served. He says 3 years, 10 months, 5 days. He knows it. Thank you all for what you've done. Holiday season's approaching. Just encourage everyone to shop local. We have a lot of good businesses in downtown and out in the county. Just encourage everyone to shop local. And that's all I have.
All right, great. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh yeah, one more thing. I'm sorry for that. Boyle County and Danville, they're football. They're in the tournament time now, so playoffs. So I wish them well. This Friday against the teams that they're playing, and also I know that Center College they have some teams that are going to be playing in tournaments, including the soccer team who got a bid. Girls soccer team got a bid to the NCAA tournament. So just wish everyone well.
Yeah, and I appreciate you mentioning that because, and actually we are hosting the first and second round of the women's NCAA Division III soccer tournament. So we'll have some visiting teams and their families coming to town this weekend, Friday, Saturday, to play in those games. So that'll be good. For
this new stadium is part of the vision of being a sports mecca, so to speak, as far as facilities go, to bring sports tourism to Boyle County, and I appreciate the center doing it. Okay, anything else?
No.
Councilman?
I just want to thank Jamey for being so involved with Center, and which we all most of us have some kind of connection to Center, and we just thank you so much. The main thing I have is I just want to thank this court for the support they gave me last week. And Jason wasn't there, but he had an awful good excuse, and I understand when your family got to take care of your children, that comes first. So
It was hard not being here for you, sir. I'm sorry.
So I just want to thank you. And Chris, I thank you for the video.
You're welcome. I didn't know if anybody else had it, so I thought
That's neat.
I recorded
You're the
it.
only one that got that. I appreciate it. I
You're welcome.
had different pictures, we didn't have no video, and that was
just
great. And
sworn in.
I appreciate.
Yeah, that's good.
I appreciate you doing that. You don't have much. I really do. And if I can help with your dad, being a veteran, and you know, he and I were pretty close when we were drinking coffee together all the time. So just call on me, let me know, okay?
All right, thank you.
I'll be out. Judge, thank you for your support too, and going through this ceremony last week. And I'm looking forward. It's going to be quite time consuming at times, and I'm looking forward to it in a way. Another way, you know, it's kind of taxing on your mind. So, but it'll be fine. I appreciate everybody, and I may call on you to help me quite a bit. So I appreciate it. And I had, like everybody else, had Mr. Chandler down, and I'm honored to be a pallbearer. It's quite an honor to, and he had asked me years ago to be a pallbearer. I don't know whether you all realize or not, if he'd have lived just a couple more days, he'd have been 103 years old.
Yeah.
You think of that, 103 years
Like
old.
one day, wasn't it? Wasn't it
One
like
day.
Maybe one day.
One day.
Yeah, one day. So we're gonna call him a 103-year-old.
He did.
Yeah.
And Ronnie and I don't have any reports. We won't have any, I believe, what, February, Ronnie? He and I are on every committee together. Judge put us on the dog. I call it the dog committee and the trash committee. I don't know what the judge had against us, but he put me and Ronnie on too. That's a
It's
good
all
committee.
important, guys. It's
Well,
all
we
important.
enjoy it. We've got good relations with the directors in both, haven't we?
Oh, yeah.
And we enjoy it. I enjoy being with Angie and being out to the Humane Society. So that I don't know if we change committees again in January, Judge, or you leave.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a look at that. I think it freshens it up with new ideas and perceptions on different aspects of what the court deals
Yeah.
with on a regular basis.
We probably, Ronnie and I probably like to stay with solid waste, wouldn't we, Ronnie?
Oh, yeah.
So that's all I have. I just thank everybody again. Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Missy, for the job y'all do.
I'd like for you to briefly talk about a pillar of our county community that passed away, your neighbor across the street, briefly.
Oh, my, yes, yeah.
Well, he was just a real good friend, Judge. We were together about every week, a time or two, and Doc was kind of an unusual person. He was we called him the Mule Man. He bought and trained, had an Amish guy down in Case County that trained these mules for him, and then he'd ship them all over the country.
Before you get too far, real quick, mention the name for the camera people so they can see this.
Okay. Anyhow, he was just. I told Glenna when I got the word the other day. I said I'm gonna go home and put my place up for sale because it'll never seem the same. Because he and I've been neighbors for 50 years, and it's just a death. The way I feel shouldn't happen. He and I talked on a Wednesday. He just got back from Oklahoma from buying a truckload of mules or a trailer load of mules, and he said, Phil said, I just don't feel well. I've got a fever, and I think I brought the COVID back to Sue. Well, the next day, by golly, both of them get sick. This is on a Thursday, and he passes out. His oxygen level got slow. He fell, and she said that she picked him up, put him in a chair, and he said, I'm all right. He was hard-headed about stuff like that. I'm strong, I'm this and that. But he didn't want to go to the hospital then. So in about an hour, he fell again right out on the floor. He blacked his eye, his glasses hit his eye. So he she picked him up, got him up, and took him to the hospital. And I talked to him once when he's in the hospital, and he felt like he was doing all right. He said, "I'm going to be all right. I'm going to be coming home." And so anyhow, he goes on, and he got better, and they moved him into another room. So after that, then Sue wasn't able to see him for a while, and the day he died, they told her to come on in. It is, and she spent some time with him and held his hand when he passed away, which was real good. But Jamey, you're so big on getting these shots. Sue had been vaccinated. Tom had not. She gets well real quick. We'll see what happens to him. So Judge, I appreciate you giving me the time. I didn't mean to talk so long about him.
But say his
But
name for the people, so the people watching this on YouTube know who you're talking about.
I'm talking about Dr. Tom Ross, veterinarian. He's a retired veterinarian, but he's still, I think he still took care of John and Bruce Helm's cattle. He had certain people that he took care of, and if you brought an animal over to him, he would doctor it or what have you. And he would, I don't know what I'm going to do about the 2 horses I've got, because he always gave them their shots, wormed them, and he did everything. And
You're just an amazing person.
Just amazing person. He was very active in the community with the FFA and the auctions and so on. And it's just a loss. It's a loss to the community. Not only a loss to me as a friend and someone that was together real often, but and his wife's doing fine. Sue's doing okay. I was with her the other day, and we talked a long time. And I think his services, a memorial service, is going to be this Saturday at the Methodist Church in Prairieville. So
you know what time?
I think it's 11 o'clock, Judge. I'll get back with you on it. I believe it's 11 o'clock Thursday. Visitation, she's going to have it for a couple hours Friday from, I believe, 5 to 7, and then the actual funeral services are going to be Saturday at 11 o'clock.
Okay.
So.
Right. Well, thank you.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about him. I didn't mean to, but I
know how special he was as a neighbor, but he was special to the county.
Yes, he was.
He influenced a lot of young people's lives through his FFA association and what he did with the auctions that generated money for that fine organization.
The auctions. I had some old farm equipment one time several years ago, and he said, "You don't need that. I'm taking it down here and selling it." He said, "You're donating it." So he was a special person to me, and so much for that.
Okay. Actually, sure.
You need a mic, I guess, on, Bill said.
Okay. Sure.
Well, this time of the year I love November because of Thanksgiving, that we got to thank our God for what He's done for us this last year, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful for our veterans, what they've done for us and the service they did. But I love this time of the year. We can all be thankful for what we've accomplished this year as the magistrates and the judge. I think we've accomplished a lot of things, and I've had some good, positive thoughts about that. But I think we can go forward. And it's remember this day. It's us remember the Thanksgiving that God has given us.
Sounds good. That's okay with.
It's always difficult to pass about people that you lose. But Glenn Steinberger, who worked for the road department,
I'm sorry,
passed away last week. He was retired. I'm not sure about what his health issues were, but anyway, we thank him for his service to the road department, certainly, and to the county. And we wish the very best to the family, and I know they're saddened by this loss. So he needs to be remembered also.
We will do that.
I mentioned something earlier about the article on Floyd County Jail, which I think represents a lot of what happens in our detention centers and detention centers across the state. In case you missed, on October the 31st, there was an excellent story in the Herald Leader concerning ambulance service across the state. So if you hadn't read them, I think you might go back and read them. And the very things that Mike has been telling us for years are in this article about everywhere. So we own Constitution Square. It is my thought that we need to decorate Constitution Square for Christmas. I don't know how. I just want to throw it out there and let ideas come out from around the table. But we own it. So it's us. It's us. I hope we can do something very nice for the Christmas spirit. It has been through years I have walked that Constitution Square to look at the Christmas spirit in the windows, and sometimes some buildings showed it very appropriately, and sometimes the buildings were dark. I hope that we can lighten up all of the buildings with the spirit of Christmas.
Good recommendation, I like it.
That's all. That's all.
Sounds good.
That's all you have?
Yes, sir.
All right. I guess it's my turn. I think all the gracious comments that everybody around in this room has made about the veterans, because November 11th, 11th day, 11th month, 11th hour is a special time in this country. And it has a long history. And, you know, I just ask that the people of this community, even though because of some restrictions that we have with COVID, that you take the opportunity. If you can't get to the event that recognizes veterans and their accomplishments and their contributions to our nation, that when you see one that you know, wherever it may be, a simple thank you for their service in the Walmart or Kroger or Lowe's means a lot to them. And so I really appreciate this court's attitude toward veterans, because it's not every place that you go that has that gracious appreciation for their accomplishments. I will be speaking at Denyo on Thursday to that veteran group that is employed out at Denyo, and also I'll be participating in Parable Elementary's recognition of veterans on Veterans Day also. I really look forward to us getting back to the Veterans Appreciation Luncheon on Veterans Day back out at the Armory. I want to thank this court for all that we've done today. It's been a little bit longer than I anticipated based on the agenda, but that's fine. You look like you want to say something? Yeah, we need to cover that one last issue before I close in adjournment.
I got my thing too, so.
Yeah, I've got
1 o'clock tomorrow.
Yes, I was just gonna say 1 o'clock tomorrow.
1 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah, which we mentioned earlier, 1 o'clock tomorrow for the Blue Star dedication monument out in front of the courthouse. I'd love to see everybody there, 1 o'clock. Martha Kaywood, who is responsible for this through the Garden Club of Danville's Garden Club, is the organizer of all this, and she's done a great job, and she's been very informative, and we look for it to be a very respectful and distinctive time to recognize Blue Star families. Okay, who else? You got something else? Anybody else got anything?
Executive session.
Executive session. Okay, Counselor advised, do we adjourn regular session, or we need a motion to go in before we adjourn?
Right, we don't need to adjourn.
Okay. I'm not gonna do the adjournment statements on those people we want to honor and recognize today until we come back out of executive session. So, with that in mind, I will entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make that
For
motion.
stated reason. Oh, yeah, the open court. What's the court's, pleasure on opening back up to the public? This venue.
I think we just need to leave it like it is right now till maybe the first of the year, because we don't have enough room unless we go to a different place.
Well,
There are options.
we do have options as far as, the city has been, well, J.H. Atkins in front of Earl and a couple others has offered for us to utilize their space. Now, they do max out at 25 people in there, because we were there last night.
What about the fire department?
Fire department.
That's available also.
We could do that.
That's where we should
I
go.
also still like the idea of going and seeing about Paravel and injunctions.
The critical aspect of all of those considerations is being able to continue our broadcast through YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And, both audio and visual.
Paravel should work, so should Junction.
So
And-
should
and
Junction's
Danville.
new
Danville
facility.
shouldn't be a problem at all.
seat 75, maybe 80 people.
So with that in mind, do you want to wait till the end of this calendar year, or do you want to proceed over this holiday period of November and December to move those out of this room?
I make a motion, we wait till the end of the year, till the first of January to look at it.
It would give us time to articulate those
Yes, it
coordinated
would.
concepts of moving them out, in January, but.
Yes.
And more, I mean, I would like to open up, but it would also give us an opportunity to make sure there's ample announcement of where we're going.
Exactly.
I'd like for us
Exactly.
to open up too, but I don't think we've got enough time right now.
And that's what I said.
Yeah.
Because I think we need to be able to articulate
To
where we
promote,
need to be.
you schedule.
I'll second that motion.
Promoted, okay. So, with that being the case, we've answered the mail on that. We will work toward promoting, optional, public participated or invited to sit in the court session like we had before we went strictly, broadcast. We'll look at that for the first year, and between now and then, over the rest of this month and December, we will, make those coordinations, moving forward out of this room.
Do we need a vote? He seconded it.
Yeah, he made the motion.
No, Phil made the motion.
Phil made the motion.
Jamey seconded.
And Jamey seconded, okay. Is there any other discussion on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Entertain a motion to go
Make a
into
motion, we go into
executive session.
executive session. Is that what you want to do?
For 61-815 to discuss, matters, personnel matters.
Second, let's go with it. I made a motion.
You
going
made the
into
motion
executive.
for the
Clarify.
stated, KRS criteria, and who seconded it?
I'll second it.
Magistrate Sammons made the motion and Magistrate Short seconded, okay? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I thought it was because I'm the scribe.
Right.
Okay, how we doing?
We're in.
Wait a second.
I make a motion to
All
come out of executive session.
Second.
We have a motion made by Magistrate Sammons to come out of executive session, seconded by Magistrate Gay. For the record, I'd like to state that no action was taken during executive session. Is there any comments about the motion before the court? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. We're out of executive session. We're back in
Do
open
we need
session.
Missy back?
Yes. We're back in open session. Missy and
Oh, excuses. You're just one more. Thanks, buddy.
My eyeballs are blue.
all right, yep, go, see you, thanks.
Won't be a rush.
We'll wait for Magistrate Sammons to, there he is.
Where's Julie?
She's okay.
I need
She
you
not-
to give me a piece of candy.
Okay. All right, we are now in open session, business before the court.
Yeah, I would like to make a motion that in the beginning of September, we named Julie as Deputy Judge Executive, but we neglected to give her the additional pay that comes with that. So I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and give Julie the $6,000 per year.
Second.
With it retroed back to the first pay in September.
First full pay period of September.
First full pay period in September, to complete that whole process.
I
for
second
being
that
named
motion.
Deputy Judge.
Okay, motion made by Magistrate Cully and seconded by Magistrate Ellis. Is there any comments or discussion about the motion before the court?
She's just doing an absolutely extraordinary job on things that are far beyond what we ever imagined when she came first with a different title. And
Yep.
we're all thankful for that.
All right.
If I say any more, it's gonna seem like she's paying me. So.
Being no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion before the court signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Now, if I'm not mistaken, ladies and gentlemen, I believe I'm at the point where we can adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second made by Magistrate Cole and seconded by Magistrate Gay. I would like to state for the record and for those watching us on the YouTube channel that today we want to adjourn in honor of Glenn Steinberger, a former county road employee who has passed away. Paul Chandler, who died one day short of his 103rd birthday at a World War II combat veteran that landed at D-Day and finished at the Battle of the Bulge. Dr. Tom Ross, who has contributed so much to this county through his veterinarian work and work with young people through the FFA. And I would also like to adjourn in honor of Jerry Hunn. He is a person that did not live in this community, but his family lives in this community. And so I would like to adjourn in honor of all of these individuals who have gone on and contributed much in their lives to other people. I don't think anything else needs to be said. We honor those individuals that have been named: Steinberger, Chandler, Ross, and Hunn, for the James Hunn family. And gentlemen, a solemn end to a great day of conversation and moving forward in Boyle County. This court now stands adjourned. Thank you.